Retro Rangers is a non-monetized show. We're not making any money off this, so everything we're doing is fair use. We hope you'll agree. But yeah. Hey, it's time for Retro Rangers. Let's get. Oh gosh, darn! I didn't cue this up right. Oh, hi, Capt'n John here. I'm really terrible at this job. Here we go.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Hi, Capt'n John here. Time for Retro Rangers, a show where we travel back in the past to save shows from ignominy. Not the word I wanted. Oblivion. We're saving shows from oblivion, and that's what we're all about. Traveling down our memories, sharing these great things tonight. Oh, what an exciting show we have for you tonight! We are looking at Barney Miller. Barney Miller was such a big part of my childhood. Really, I just absolutely loved it. And honestly, Barney Miller wasn't even my choice for tonight. Barney Miller, well, let me introduce you to my broadcasting partner. Folks, do you know Joe Townsend?
John, you caught me right in the middle of enjoying a Joe by Nick Yamana from Barney Miller. Let me have a sip. Ugh. Jack Soo was a great, but he did not make a good cup of coffee. I wanted to let you know that, and speaking of retro, we are enjoying it from my official Pacific telephone mug, also from the 1970s. So.
You got a lot of gold from the 1970s on this show, and frankly, one of the best parts of the show. I can't wait to introduce her, folks. Do you know Diana J. Brodie? Hey. Diana J. Brodie, of course, very familiar to the regulars here at the show, and you brought a lot of people, Diana, and oh my gosh, we appreciate that so much. Diana, you are quite a wisecracker when it comes to commenting on these video clips that we watch here on Retro Rangers, and you had told us when we were booking you that you actually had been watching Barney Miller, which is part of something you do, which is you go through these old shows. Am I correct?
You are correct, sir. I absolutely do. And I love your show. I'm honored to be on it. Hello to everybody out there. Hey, my friend John Atkinson tuned in. Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you, John. Right on.
I don't know Ocean Master personally, but I am a very big supporter of Poseidon and all his followers. So
super.
And Ocean Master said, "Yo, Joe." So, yo, back to you, Ocean Master.
So we are going to sit down and feel free to make comments all during the show because we really love your comments. Your comments make us laugh. We're here to try to make you laugh. And as we go through Barney Miller, I'm actually kind of surprised at how much this show wasn't just a comedy. And when you talk to, well, why don't we check something out here? Hal Linden, of course, played Barney Miller. Hal Linden was also a Broadway star.
Right.
He was beloved for his work in the revival of the show Anything Goes. Very big part of the revival of that show. And so let's watch a little bit of this. This is Hal Linden talking about the fact there were more than one pilot for Barney Miller. Pilot, of course, being the show that you tape that you then show to the networks, and hopefully they say yes, and now you've got a TV show that's on the air.
The first pilot was shot. I was doing the Pajama Game on Broadway.
Pajama Game.
My agent,
I forgot that one.
God bless him, had put in a clause that I had to be let go if I got a pilot. And sure enough, I got a pilot, and they had to not just let out of the show. I didn't leave the show. I was ready. I went back to it, but at least I had the opportunity. I didn't have to turn down a pilot. Yeah.
I think I've got the player on fast. Do I play back speed?
Yeah.
Is this bothering anybody? How fast? How Lyndon's speaking?
He just sounds excited to me.
Yeah.
The pilot for Barney.
There we go.
Different cast. Different cast. Good cast. It was called The Life and Times of Captain Barney Miller and was intended to be originally a balance between the life in the precinct and the life at home. So I had a wife and 2 kids, and that was the pilot. That was the first pilot. It didn't sell. It didn't sell. It was shown that August in the ABC Comedy Theater, which was the repository for dead pilots.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And I thought that was over with. Danny Arnold was not to be denied. He had confidence in it, or the concept, or he recognized also that the better part of it was the detective story part in this squadron. And so it just became Barney Miller. Legend has it, he told me that it was driving along and the next guy in the next car would have
Son of a bitch.
from
That's my fault.
Colombia. I don't know exactly who it was.
Red Blame Society.
I decided I was like, I'm gonna go get the wiki page for Barney Miller so that I can get some facts in here. And of course, that messes with my antique, computer and my terrible Wi-Fi. So anyway, back to
people on the inside. But he managed to get a shot at a second at two more episodes,
which is amazing. That almost never happens.
The amazing thing about Danny was that he had such confidence in it. He mortgaged his home and bought back the investment of the deficit financer.
Weisenheimers.
Personally bought back, thus giving him majority ownership. It was a kind of an uncomfortable partnership with another writer that I believe William Morris had put together. He now had control of it. He told the partner to stay home, and he wrote 2 more episodes, and we did 2 episodes. And he didn't have any contracts with anybody. He called me up and would I come and do 2 more episodes?
That's crazy.
It was interesting.
That never happens in TV.
Really doesn't.
I had an offer for a Broadway musical. It was called Dr. Jazz, I believe.
Oh boy. Dr. Jazz.
I think I was playing a musician. It was perfect.
Sounds like a
for me. It
supervillain.
was very exciting role.
Sounds like someone Electra woman would be fighting.
And I had to make my
I
mind
think he's
up.
a clarinet player too.
All it was 2 episodes.
He is.
Give up a whole year's work, really, with rehearsal and out of town. And you're talking half a year anyway, even if it's a bomb. And I couldn't make my mind up.
Oh my God.
I remember sitting in
does.
the manager's office.
John, he does. He
Friday.
looks like Jonathan Harris.
Broadway
the pain,
producer
the
had called and
pain.
said, we have to have an answer by close of business Friday. And I sat and he looked.
Oh, God,
across
now
the
I'm
desk
afraid
and
he's
said,
gonna
"You
call
gotta
me a
make your mind
bumbling
up. What do you
booby."
wanna do?" And I said this cavalierly, all right, we've done Broadway. Let's try television. I used the word cavalierly. And on that, we went out and did the two new episodes. Recast, Barbara Barry was now my wife, and
Oh.
no kid. Oh yes, we did have kids
Yeah, you
eventually.
did.
I think they showed up.
They were grown-up kids.
But it wasn't. It was now called Barney Miller. It was not about the home life. The home life was only the backstory or the side stories.
So let's jump into this. You've done a bit of research as well, Diana, and
I've got
yeah.
some fun facts, though I think maybe the majority of people might think that I've played fast and loose with the word fun in these facts. But first of all, I do want to mention that the Barney Miller's home life came in and out first season. I think maybe a couple episodes second season, and then maybe Barbara Barry would show up after
Right.
that. But that was a huge departure in sitcom world.
Yeah.
Up until that point, even if you look at Dick Van Dyke goes to work. He also goes home.
Right.
It was always both. If they showed the work, you always showed the home. And so this was really one of the first sitcoms that really veered from that kind of storytelling.
Yeah, and let's definitely give some credit to Danny
Arnold.
It just slips out of my head. I read it and then it disappears. Let's give some credit to Danny Arnold. Here's all right. Now tell me if you knew this tidbit already. We love our tidbits here at Retro Rangers. Oh God, we love them. Normally, Townsville's tidbits are the tidbits we get. But
we got tidbits all around tonight.
Oh yeah, everybody, bring your tidbits.
I brought tidbits, baby.
So, Danny Arnold had been a comic, and you're going to hear some stories about that from Hal Linden. Because it's not a small thing that he had been a comedian. A lot of what he went through, he brought with him throughout his career.
Interesting.
And so Danny worked as a writer. He had been a comic. Everybody said, "You're really funny. You should come be a writer." Get this, on the Tennessee Ernie Ford show.
I didn't know.
Right? Now, he meets another writer. He meets another writer writing for Tennessee Ernie Ford, a young punk named Norman Lear. And these two guys and the other Weisenheimers in the writer's room all wanted to make more TV. And Norman Lear, of course, huge trailblazer with his sitcoms, especially All in the Family.
Right.
And he opened a lot of doors. So who walked through those doors behind him? Well, among them was Danny Arnold.
Right.
Also doing a 70s sitcom, very adult, very addressing gritty realities that are in people's lives and breaking a lot of taboos telling these stories.
Yeah.
We are going to see a lot of those taboos broken as we go through these shows tonight. Because another thing, and we can talk about it near the end about why it is, but for some reason, we can watch Barney Miller in this format all we want. The copyright is not very well protected.
Well, don't give me any ideas now, John.
You may want to revisit this episode next year. Next year, it will be 50 years old, which I believe becomes public domain then.
It's
Does
tricky.
it? Is
It's
it tricky?
Yeah.
That was my worst grade in college was media law. So.
Oh my God, which is so funny because Diana and I went to college. You were communications as well, right?
Yes, correct.
Yes. So we were both School of Communications, the Hanna School of Communications from Hanna-Barbera.
Oh.
You would, I think. You know what? I don't even know. I should look that up.
I don't know. Yeah.
I think we always said that, but I'm not sure we ever looked it up.
I think we made that up. We wrote it down, then we read it. We believe everything we read. Stealing that from Saget.
When I took it, it was called broadcast law. It was called broadcast law when you took it?
It was called, I think it was called media law. I took it with Wenmouth Williams.
And
something then, when myth this way comes.
And And eventually, the name of it, I believe, when I was a senior, someone was taking it, and they were like, "Yeah, I hope I do well in my my exam for history of broadcast law."
It
Because
just gets less and less. It made me. By the way, my brother is watching. I saw him. I saw him come up there, Fred Brodie, and my friend Amy Lopez. My brother's a lawyer, and nothing made me appreciate more his job than clawing my way to a B- in media law. Hello, Fred. As I was like, how is he remembering any of this stuff? I remembered it for the test and then was gone, and that was it. But
you
yeah,
know,
but it's 50 years in 2025. It'll be 50 years.
that
So.
is take a look. Don't poke the sleeping tiger. Thank you, Fred. That's good advice. And, Law and Order Media Unit. Dun dun.
Dun, dun.
Now watch out, John. That dun is IP protected.
That's
Oh my God.
That's
Ocean
what gets
Master,
us shut down.
Ocean Master is exactly right. Reinhold, and I think it's Weege
Ooh,
of Night Court fame, came on board to write 34 episodes.
that
of
is
Barney
true.
Miller.
Yeah. Yeah, because that is a name that we used to love. And then there's another one. And if you don't mind me throwing out, well, I don't want to steal Joe Townsell's tidbits. So how about Brodie bits? A little Brodie bit for you. The other name that we loved to see come up in the credits was Noam Pitlick. And Noam Pitlick directed the lion's share of Barney Miller episodes. He directed, I believe, 102 episodes of the 170, won an Emmy, a Peabody. But the two interesting facts, again, maybe fast and loose with the word interesting, about Noam Pitlick. 3 interesting facts. 1, I once named my laptop after him.
Nice.
A fun fact.
Nobody
2,
hacked Noam.
no one tried to steal that. And then 2, my aunt Adele, she went to high school with Noam Pitlick.
Oh my God.
And he was 2 years ahead of her. She said she didn't know him personally, but everyone in the school knew him. He was like the king of the walk there. Like everybody loved this guy. He grew up in Philly. And then the other interesting thing about Noam Pitlick, yes, he wrote Night Court. I do believe Ocean Master. He did direct some Night Courts. He went on to have quite a successful directing career after Barney Miller. I believe Barney Miller might have been his directorial debut, I think. But he was an actor prior, and he was an actor on the Bob Newhart show. He played, amongst others, he was an actor in like 8 zillion things, but he played Mr. Gianelli, the guy who was so mean that he made Mr. Carlin look like nice by comparison. And he was just super mean. I think at one point they voted him out of the group therapy, like for one episode. And so you can see him as an actor on that. And then he crossed up, and then he left that to direct Barney Miller, and they decided to kill his character off on the Bob Newhart show. So I believe Mr. Gianelli, I think someone else may have played him like once or twice, and then they axed it.
I love how, and please forgive the word, I can't come up with a better one, incestuous the super talented people in television could be, because you've got Danny Jacobs creating this show. He's already worked on Bewitched.
Danny Arnold.
I keep wanting to say Jacobs.
Really? Yeah.
Danny Arnold, who worked on Bewitched as a producer.
Right.
And I'm sure he wrote. I'm sure he did some writing. That's usually something a lot of producers are doing. Not that they're supposed to. But a lot of times they do. And That Girl had been a big show.
Oh, yeah.
Well, which is wild how different all of those are, because by the time you get to 1975, again, Norman Lear has already changed the entire look of how comedies are done. And something I don't know if this ever like clicked with anyone else, but it always kind of clicked for me how like grungy a lot of these sitcoms looked. And Barney Miller is very much one of those. Like that set is disgusting to look at.
Well, I mean, if you have to paint a message on your cell saying "Don't spit on the floor," it's pretty grungy.
Very good point. Very good point. Yes, we do need to do some new heart because I actually have some and actually Stevie's so right. It is the magic of having 3 networks because there is an interconnectivity that happened when we were kids, and specifically when these people that you see on your screen were kids.
Well, Diana is actually right in pointing out that there was a lot of cross-pollination. I mean, in my research, I remembered that in addition to behind the camera talent, there was a lot of actors and actresses that appeared in Night Court and Barney Miller.
Right.
I wonder if they would have even been identified as the same characters that had it not been there on different networks.
Right.
But they sure seem like the same people in a lot of cases, I think.
Yeah, the stable of actors that came through Barney Miller was so great. Yes, thank you, Adina.
It's always nice when the millennials point out how old the old folks are.
That's why you watch us.
We don't love you. Don't love you, Adina. Of course we do. All right, we've talked about it. We should probably take a look at it, or at least start taking a look at it. So I'm going to jump ahead. We're going to take a look at a season 1 episode. Yeah, I'm going to put that here. This was a big episode for me as a kid because this is how I found out what a hooker was.
Gasp.
And I was 11 or 12 and grew up in a super conservative, very Christian family. And my parents didn't let us watch those Norman Lear shows because they were just too grown up. So let's take a look at just a little bit, and then we'll catch up with some of the comments because they're just gold. You guys are just hitting it out of the park here. Share screen. I'm gonna go to this is from season 1, episode 5, and it's called "The Courtesans." We'll just watch a little bit of it, and then we'll jump back in if we want.
Hey, Nick, if a guy's been murdered whose name begins with B,
Gregory Sierra.
file it under M for murder, B for Bertoli, or H for homicide.
What's the name of the guy that killed him?
We don't know that yet.
File it under U for unsolved.
You guys want some cake?
Yeah, sure.
Our niece?
Oh, no,
I got that.
Kill hookers.
Look, if you'll all have a little patience, we'll have you all out of here and back in business in no time.
I hope so.
Now, for the formalities. Look, I'm going to read you ladies your rights.
This isn't going to take very long. Here.
Hey, pipe down, will you? You have the right to remain silent. But you give up the right to remain silent.
I love knowing that Max Scale was a sweet
will be
pimp.
held against you in a court of law. You have the right to speak to your
I'm telling you.
attorney.
They invented rap too. They did everything.
Now,
Such pioneers.
so decide, and you ain't got the bread for one, we'll give you one. No.
Yeah, let me go to full screen.
Got a lot of work to do. So stop clowning around, huh? You got it?
Well, we always had it. It just took us a while to figure out what to do with it.
Donna, would you join Detective Yamana? He's the inscrutable devil in the corner there.
And whatable? Who gets me?
You got your choice, me or Fish.
Oh, well, seeing as how it ain't Friday, I'll take you, Turkey.
Oh my.
Come on, Rose, let's get some prints of those.
That's an
magic
old
fingers.
joke.
You must have 100 sets by now. What are you doing, selling them?
This way, madam.
Watch your language.
Hey.
Do I have to go with him again?
No, we're desegregated here.
He is always picking on me because I'm Puerto Rican, you know?
Well, you see, that's because Chano feels that Puerto Rican ladies are very special.
Me too. You know, I make more money than they all do.
Okay, Lily, vente. Avanza. Vente, siéntate. Is that why you came to America?
No, I came to be Rita Moreno, but I find out they
I'm
already
reminded of
sent
Dan
me.
Aykroyd's movie Dr. Detroit for some
Thank
reason.
you.
Oh my God, I forgot.
Right? Right?
Holy moly.
Mary Queen of Scots.
Okay, Mary. What's your real name?
I wish I could remember this actress's name.
I'm trying to. Is it Nancy
address?
something? What's that?
Could
It
be.
is, I think. Too Close for Comfort is a show, of course.
Was she on Too Close for Comfort?
She was
I'm a
she was
very
the
good
mom and the wife.
Dancer.
Right. And Jim J. Bullock.
Something fancy.
Right.
Yes.
Just your
All
average
this time I
everyday
was
hooker.
thinking she was the failed Bonnie Franklin.
She what?
I mean, come on. That's a
I
Bonnie
hope you're a
Franklin.
good cop.
Heck,
You're a
what's her
crummy
name?
human
God damn.
being.
But I love that she was on Too Close for Comfort. Good tidbit, Mr. Townsend.
I got one in there.
On one of their ever popular return engagements.
So that's got to be about Max Scale, right?
Excuse me.
Well, I think
Nancy
poor Max
Are you
is-
the manager?
I think he's already wearing a hairpiece by the time the show even started.
Captain Miller,
Poor guy.
This man has been unnecessarily
Meanwhile,
rude.
Gregory Sierra just suffering
true,
silently
Roger?
in the corner.
I don't
Yes.
think so. I mean, I didn't say anything to her. I wouldn't say anything.
Yeah. That's Wojciechowicz, Adina. I am so happy we have someone here who doesn't know this show. So we can explain things. It's all about the exposition.
By the way, Nancy DeSalt.
There
That
it
was
is.
her name.
Salt. Wow.
That was her name.
You know, so I'm a little kid and I'm watching. I know, I'm totally grooving out to this. I never don't groove to this.
Ooh, that's right. First season, the slightly different.
Yeah, season 1.
See, this is the scene I was remembering of Barbara Berry
Right.
going open the bars.
Well, you have to show that your star is lovable. So you have to show the person who loves him.
Yes.
So that's why the wife is important.
Gregory Sierra and I share a birthday. Fun fact.
Oh,
Because a policeman does not
That's
mean we
awesome.
can't be gentlemen.
I'm a
Abe
big-
Vigoda,
I said
54
policeman, not
years
judge,
old.
not jury.
During this,
We are older
This
than
city,
he is
including
there.
Alleged
Oh.
lawbreakers.
they must have made him up somehow a little bit.
Certain amount of consideration
Well,
and courtesy.
Of course, he lived another 50 years looking
Do
like
the job
that.
as quickly and as efficiently as you can.
I think he was born that age.
Just the moral observation.
it's not like he aged. It's like he cured.
It's just
I do love Abe
prostitution
Vigoda.
that really irritates me.
Don't get me wrong.
I mean, a woman who'd sell her body would do anything.
Wojo. If people didn't want it, it wouldn't exist.
Well, I don't want it.
You're not enough.
Oh, that's painful. Did Dumb and Dumber get the haircut idea
No,
from Max
she's
Scale?
new. There's
That is
more
so
of them sneaking
mean.
in all the time.
They could have gotten a better rug. I
But
have to
possible.
admit.
But possible.
Rose is always
Yeah, I
complaining
really-
stuff to get help. Finish her up. And watch him, will you, Roger?
Just there's something about this one that really ticks me off, you know? I mean, she's sassy. She's always coming at me with some smart answer.
Yeah, I know. I was developing a crush on her too.
Are you?
All right, I want to address.
This was before Abe was in The Godfather, Fred. Yeah.
Oh, well, now Godfather was early 70s, right?
72 and 74 for parts 1 and 2.
Right.
Oh,
right,
then
72.
then you're right. This was after then.
Just
So
barely.
I'm-
75 when Barney Miller premiered. And I would
Exactly.
imagine here that Gregory Sierra is probably just off of Sanford and Son at this point as well.
Yeah.
Oh, he was on Sanford and Son. See, we
Yeah,
weren't
that's
allowed to
right.
watch it when I was a kid.
Oh,
I
okay.
d-
Yeah, he
I
was
do
the,
want-
he was the
Oh.
neighbor for about a year and a half, and then I think
Yeah.
came over to Barney Miller
Yeah.
for a more leading role.
Yes,
I
Brodie.
posted in that
Oh, yeah.
I posted in that Ocean Master. Yeah.
Okay, my moderator, Sue Walsh, awesome Sue, over at the Barney Miller fan group on Facebook. Love
Love
it. Thank you
her.
for being here. Our go-to for anything Max Gale. Oh, as she is a personal friend of his
Oh,
and
she flies-
flies out to San Fran to see him.
I'm
every
in
year.
San Francisco. Have her call me.
Hey, you know what? If you want to get in touch with our good friend Brodie, you can always check out her website,
All right.
nleacademy.com. That's Next Level Editing Academy. But if you go to the .com, you can, let Diana know, because if Max Gail is in San Francisco, would you try to go meet him, Diana?
100%, 100%. But not in a creepy way.
Right, exactly.
Not in a creepy way.
In the way that shows the most respect to Max Gail, because come on, how can you not love Max Gail?
Well, I tell you, one of my favorite storylines from Barney Miller, I would say the third year, I think he had a brief flirtation, so to speak, with giving him a regular girlfriend. I forget the character's name, but Linda Lavin played a female cop.
Oh yeah,
and they worked together quite a bit.
Wentworth.
I'm sorry, what was that, Diana?
Wentworth.
Yeah. She was
and
in
it looked like for a while they're going to kind of get them together, but then she just disappeared, I think.
Yeah, because she got Alice.
Right.
So yeah, but that character had many episodes. Was in a bunch of episodes early on.
Yeah. First 2 seasons, and it was the first sitcom work she had done. And then she got her own show very, very quickly after, because, and this was really cool in the 70s. People loved 70s New York actors, just loved them. And that's great. I mean, I loved being raised by them, frankly. I became an actor, and I never didn't think of these great actors that I watched when I was a kid. And holy cow, you get all these big, I made the Bonnie Franklin joke earlier. You get all these big stars from Broadway doing these sitcoms.
Yeah. Now, really I think Nancy Dussault was a pretty big Broadway star. I think this was like a pretty huge get for a sitcom.
Oh yeah.
Back then, I don't think she did that many. I could be wrong. I think she came from Broadway.
Oh, I'm sure she
did.
Sitcom
world.
No, she's just got it all.
She's got that. She holds herself like a dancer.
Exactly. She looks like a dancer. She's a redhead. She's got. She's spunky. Spunky really worked back in those days.
It really did. Not on Lou Grant.
Though it was there. Okay, I am going to. This is Barney's wife and daughter.
We catch it a busy time?
No, not particularly.
Is that what I think it is out there, or does everyone have his own private secretary now?
Business as usual. What's up?
I saw an incredible apartment today, Dad, and Mom wants me to talk to you about it.
Can't I wait till the night?
They want to deposit by 6 o'clock.
We've already discussed it. I've seen the apartment. It's up to you. I'll wait outside.
No, I don't know anything about the actress playing the daughter, but if I remember correctly, I don't think she ever came back.
It was probably one and done, I would imagine.
No, I think she does come back, and I think she dates Wojo in one episode.
Talk about being wrong.
Pretty enough.
Oh my God.
I could be wrong about that, but in my memory, there's a 1 episode arc where he dates the daughter.
What brings you up here, Ms. Miller?
She is so pretty.
Came to get a check from Barney.
But again, that's like a 70s thing too, like 70s girls, especially on TV. You get these, very natural looking, the hair.
Well, dare I say a Trisha Nixon type sometimes?
Moving out.
Maybe.
So important.
Yeah.
It's this might be a little bit late in the game for that, but I think it carried over a while.
No, it could be. I mean, just culturally speaking.
Isn't something you interfere with. It's either there or it isn't.
What's so important about privacy?
I can see, though, honestly, why we kind of got away from Barney's domestic life pretty quickly.
Well, again, the most important thing about TV and sitcoms in particular is the relationships. And a lot of times people want to go with the easiest kind of relationship. This is why I'm constantly hating shows, because there's a rebellious teenager. Oh God. Like we haven't seen a million of those. And that's sort of a shortcut. But a lot of times the work family, Mary Tyler Moore.
What did you do? Memorize my sheet?
It's only been a couple of days.
But she did have her home life. She did have.
She did. Yeah, she had both. That started in 1970, so that was 5 years before Barney Miller.
Wow.
It was
So
like
that was
70, 71.
That was a well-established show by the time Barney Miller comes along.
Yeah.
Oh, by then she'd had 2 spinoffs, I
Good news
think.
for Albany.
Yeah.
You could be right.
Rhoda at least was outgoing, and Phyllis was to come.
I use it to break the tension.
Of course,
You
Mary
see, I'm the
Richards
sort of
was
person,
supposed to
if
be
I
one of the
don't break
first
the
divorcees,
tension,
and they nixed
I
that
say
idea
filthy
pretty quick.
words.
Yes.
Right.
Well, you know why?
Said she got left at the altar. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
No,
well,
or she left him, right? I think was the deal, or no? She
Well, I
decided
mean-
she wanted to be a career woman or something.
Only because he made her wait 2 years before he said, "I don't want to rush things."
Not really.
They didn't want people to think she was a lesbian, so she had to have a boyfriend. She had to almost be married. That was
When
the
they,
deal.
and they didn't want her to be a divorcee because they were afraid that people would think she was divorced from Rob Petrie.
And no one was going to sign off on
And I
that.
don't like this any better now.
But I totally understand the lesbian thing too, because
Hey.
come on,
Hi.
she'd make a great
For
lesbian.
your daughter?
I wouldn't kick her out of bed for eating crackers.
Right.
She and Rhoda, right?
Oh, this is Ocean Master is just bringing us so many great facts here. And Wyndham plays Barney's daughter. She also appeared in the original pilot with Abe Vigoda. Oh, that is awesome.
She's not worth it.
Because Howland and Abe Vigoda were the only two in the original pilot. Is that correct?
Was that true?
You know, I never did that research. I hate myself.
I'm asking out of humility. I looked it up. It's true.
I was about to ask Chat GPT.
Flobo boys, don't you be rude to Ocean Master. But Ocean Master, if you do have a YouTube, let us know. We'll go over and check it.
I don't know where she developed her interest.
No, I don't have Wiki open anymore because it slows down the video. I gotta get a new computer for heaven's sake.
Just a quick aside to amoral crackpot. On a different live stream, I will talk about the new terms of service for Adobe. So just know that I saw that and it was very upsetting. And John Atkinson, who's in the chat, he and I have been texting about it. So
that's
but that's a whole show.
Yeah, right. Things change for the worst very quickly.
Yeah.
We've been doing this kind of show for quite a while now, and things are still, there are things that didn't get copyright hits 2 years ago that get them now. There are things that didn't get copyright hits last week that get them this week.
Now, I'll tell you both. I'll tell everybody in the audience as well. Barney Miller and MASH have one thing in common for me. And that is that I kind of prefer the later characters better than the earlier ones.
Interesting. Yeah.
That is very interesting.
For example, specifically, Dietrich and Levitt.
Oh, yeah.
Come later.
Love both of them. And Dietrich, I loved. He was probably my favorite character, although my Wi-Fi is named after Wojo.
Well, that's a Wojo Wi-Fi. That's a pretty good name, actually.
I beg your pardon, Ocean Master. Are you apologizing for making our show great?
Yeah.
Yes, please apologize for that apology.
Yeah.
No, we are lucky to have you. Thank you for being with us.
Ocean Master should be where I am now.
Oh,
for running that. I love that page. I'm the one who posted on that page. I love that page.
I'm so glad you did too, because honestly, Joe and I, we put our noses down, we work, but we don't think outside the box about promotion often enough. We try. And while I say we, I feel like Joe's going, no, John, that's just you.
That's why I have my smile plastered on my face right now, John. No, that would never have occurred to me either, to reach out in that way. So thank you, Diana, for going that direction. For sure.
I am a marketing juggernaut.
Sometimes these two geniuses need an extra genius. When I say sometimes, I mean all the time.
3 heads are better than 2.
Yeah, Ocean Master, keep the tidbits coming.
Oh, please. Abe Vigoda is only 54.
He's 54 here. We are all older than that man who just walked through that door.
I am 7 years older than that guy.
That is insanity.
Yeah. And something that Ocean Master mentioned earlier, we actually have the pilot for Fish. That's one of the things we can watch. So we can go over to that anytime you want. But
talk about a total departure.
Yeah.
Now, of course, when that inevitably failed, Didn't we get Fish back here for a couple episodes before he's finally written out for good?
Oh yeah, he has. He is. I think he's. I think he goes through till season 3, even. Doesn't he? And then he's forced to retire. He's got that whole there's that whole episode of him being forced to retire.
Yeah.
He's Adina. He's 54, not 57. He's younger than that. He was born then.
He was just born old.
Oh boy. All right. So, is there anything else we might want to get out of this? I just wanted to see. I just love the spunky hooker. I just love her so much.
It's amazing that Nancy DeSalle would go from this to doting mother in like 5 short years, more or less.
Right.
I mean, honestly, and I do remember her on Too Close for Comfort, and she's the normal one.
Right.
Yeah. Well, she's mom,
She's just the normal mom.
Less than 5 years, because I believe that Too Close for Comfort started literally the year after Mary Tyler Moore went off. That'd be around 78, 79.
Yeah.
At the latest.
And Jim J. Bullock on it was not gay. He was a virgin, and that was a major storyline that they danced around his obvious flamboyance.
It was
not in that regard, but he was in other ways. He was the Urkel of his that way.
Yeah, he was like the kooky neighbor.
Right.
He was very funny, and I have a friend who was very close with him. Actually, my very first personal trainer was really close with Jim J, and just said he was the greatest. So that's all.
I always loved him. I always had a soft spot for that actor, man. Seriously.
Let's go back to Hal Linden being interviewed.
They were not hired as comedians; they were actors. There's a tendency since to utilize stand-up comics as, and I'm not saying it's a.
I love that he is making this distinction. He is saying there in the beginning on Barney Miller there were actors that they hired, not comedians.
Right.
But it's obvious that they're comic actors. Maybe not Abe Vigoda. This might have been one of the first times he was doing comedy. I'm sorry, Diana. What did you
I was gonna say, I think the first stand-up comedians they hired were Steve Landesberg as Dietrich and Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey. Ron Carey. Who was a stand-up as well. Not Jim Carrey. Wrong era.
No, I couldn't wait to jump in because, yes, Ron Carey. Now, at the college radio station at Ithaca College, we actually had a Ron Carey comedy album.
I stole that from my parents, by the way. The slightly irreverent comedy of Ron Carey. Was that the one we had at IC?
Yes.
I had that in my dorm room.
Good, because I don't know where it would have ended up had it not gone to someone who understood how great he was.
It's not a misbegotten idea. But Ray Romano did pretty good with it.
Yeah.
Tim, what's his name? Tim Allen. They were stand-up comics who really had wonderful shows. So I'm not Seinfeld. It's not necessarily so, but this was a show that was not about
Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber. That's what. Yeah.
The comedy were the people who came in. We were the ones who were reacting.
Abe Vigoda invented comedy in 1800s. Oh, stop.
They were good actors who knew how to play a scene. Didn't worry about whether they had the punchline or somebody else did. I think that was the. And I must tell you, it took me a few episodes to realize that we were not supposed to be funny, or we.
John, you're taking some pot shot.
If most of the show is me being roasted, it's still worth doing.
That we had the opportunity just to play it and let the comedy come from the writing. And I think that's the eventually, again, I suspect at least one of the greatest ensemble casts ever assembled. I mean, they've been, Seinfeld.
I knew that they
remember
brought him back.
episode. Yeah, I remember
Season
that.
7, final
That was-
season.
For a gang
That was a
comedy.
good. That was a good
Yeah,
episode.
he came back pretty late in the game, just one more time after his show was off the air.
Yeah. I Abe Vigoda was in The Godfather, and then there was a sort of cheapy movie made after that, which was called The Godfather is Dead. And there were a couple of actors from the original movie in that. Abe was one of them. But it was a cash grab. Everybody knew it. It was exploitive. Everybody knew it. But Abe Vigoda was a really cool guy. I mean, he spent so much time showing up on Conan O'Brien, which I just thought was great.
Which I thought was awesome.
Yeah. You're shooting in New York, get some classic New York actors. And Abe Vigoda was one of them. Although I know
it's a good sport too, in the sense that for the last 20 years of his life, it's like there was ongoing jokes. Isn't Abe Vigoda dead yet? Along those lines.
There were rumors of his death all the time. It was always blowing up social media that Abe Vigoda was dead.
That's right. I swear I would see somebody put his picture up every week on Facebook, R.I.P. We love you. Yeah, we love him. He's still alive.
Yeah.
Great cold open with Abe Vigoda and Jack Soo.
You want to buy a cemetery plot?
I got better things to do with my money.
Might not be a bad
Not to be a
investment.
downer, but one of the few times, as I recall, in TV sitcom history to this point, they had to acknowledge the death of an actor who played a major character.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the way they handled the death of Jack Soo. Jack Soo. We got to do a section on him. I've got a clip.
Good morning.
Because Jack Soo. Fascinating. Fascinating.
I mean, talk about rest in peace. 61 years old, very young man.
Made it thick.
Even then,
That is correct. He was the guy.
Hi, Nick. Hey, Barn, you want to guess what's in the box?
Is it bigger than a shoebox?
No.
So this is, of course, the episode Hash.
Give up.
Legendary. Legendary.
Mushy.
Come on, Barn, they're brownies.
Oh.
Tasty brownies.
Gloria? Yeah, this girl.
Oh, do I have a brownie story for you,
right down
too?
the street.
Oh, really?
Turn on and
You know what? Yeah, I think all three of us might have brownie stories.
If Tony Luna's still watching, he knows that story well.
Gotta watch my weight.
You too, huh? Little spare tire.
I don't know that I would describe it that way. No.
Gloria calls them love handles.
Oh, God.
But you'd like her. She paints. Oh, and she plays the flute. And since I met her, she ain't been hanging around the police station anymore.
Good.
I forgot that line. I loved that line. That was one of my favorite lines from childhood.
Gareth, want brownie?
Oh.
No, thanks, man. Gotta watch the love handles.
Love handles callback.
Hi, guys. Got your mail. Morning, sir.
Tony knows exactly what
Here's
you're
your mail,
talking
sir.
about, doesn't he?
Thank you.
I believe so. We'll
Copy
say
of
no
my
more.
service record.
This is
You might
all
want
the
to take a
knowledge
look
we
at
need.
It's pretty good reading.
The aforementioned Ron Carey. Love
Find
him.
many examples of initiative,
So much.
dedication to duty, and
Did he
loyalty.
finally become a detective in the very last episode?
He does.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, and
Sir's height.
I believe it was Inspector Luger who tells him. Ocean Master can tell me if I'm right about that.
I mean, Ocean Master had this about Barney when Barney finally becomes deputy inspector.
They closed the old one too.
He says, I think Levitt finally says to him, he calls him Lavin, and he says, it's Levitt, Officer Carl Levitt. And he goes, correction, it's
I ain't crazy about the way he
Detective.
does things.
Believe me, I got you in mind.
You got it.
Yeah.
Things take time.
Yes, sir. I'll be on duty till 5:30, sir. Making it tough.
course, I love Ron Carey in the Mel Brooks movie High Anxiety.
Oh yes,
probably my
I forgot
favorite.
about that.
I got it. I get it.
I don't get it.
Harris?
I don't get it.
Yeah, you want to go, Nick? Okay, Barn. Hey, Harris. Where'd you hear that expression? Love handles. Around the neighborhood. Coming, Nick?
I wonder if this was the first time the expression "love handles" made it on the air. You never know. Barney Miller
Mojo seems a little nonplussed about it. Now, of course, we have the
This
tragic
is the
cue here.
classic.
This is the classic. Yeah. Now, I can't remember. I know that some of these versions lasted for like 2 or 3 seasons. But I do remember this opening lasting more than one season.
I could be wrong about this, but oh my God. Hey, Nolan. Look at Nolan coming in, man, from Seattle. Hey, Nolan. I could be wrong, but I want to say that, like, was it a relative of Danny Arnold's who wrote this theme, like his brother or something, and then they redid it like every couple of years?
Oh, I don't know.
Ocean Master may know. I can ask Chat GPT.
I mean, this sounds right. Amoral Crackpot says love handles first known use was in 1970. Yeah, that could be.
That's right.
Is that Scanlon?
Fish. Hey.
No, that's not Scanlon.
Later.
Right.
We went through the academy together.
What's this officer? What's his name on Happy Days?
Oh, was he really? Oh my God, he
It's
made
Officer
it.
Kirk.
Years ago.
It was. Oh my! I was trying I've seen this guy before, but it's not Inspector Luger, who was brilliant in. Oh God, was it Beneath the Planet of the Apes?
Yes.
Oh my God! Wow.
I guess he got tired of harassing Fonzie and decided to become a Parker Fish.
Just keep it calm, will you please? Just keep it down. Hold it down. What's going on here?
Jack Elliott.
Thank you, Ocean Master.
Would you mind?
Dlaczego ty mówisz, że ja jestem
Quiet!
Powiedz nam, co się stało.
Ten człowiek mnie obraził.
Says this man insulted him.
On zasłużył na to. To był niemyli wieczór w teatrze.
He said he deserved it. Something about the theater.
Yeah, I'm an actor in the theater.
Oh, he says he's an
Now,
actor.
one thing that should be mentioned is that many real police consider this to be the closest to day-to-day police work.
And I am a drama
Which
critic.
makes sense to me. It's a lot of drudgery and
Natural
this
enemies.
is chasing crooks, you know?
You know, it's interesting. Ever since the Trump trial, they've been talking so much about how grimy New York municipal buildings are. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And I'm like, what am I thinking of? Because it's not like I was ever in a lot of those buildings. It's like, oh no, I'm just remembering like Night Court and Barney Miller. I'm just remembering these sets.
I mean, the impressive thing is no computers, right? No computers. They can't solve crimes now with computers. How do they solve any crimes back then?
That's a good point.
Well, you don't have Fish and Officer Kirk on the job anymore. That's
Right.
Now, this is a detective's precinct, right? This is sort of upstairs from where the uniforms are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's upstairs and the uniforms are downstairs. And this is all in Greenwich Village, which is why we get the gay characters that come in.
That's right. All right, I do want to throw this up on the screen for Motion Master. Alan Ferguson played the electric piano and co-composed the Barney Miller theme song with Jack Elliott. So that's awesome.
Breakfast and dinner seems plenty.
Are you?
This is just so much 70s to me, too.
Not yet. Oh,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
very famous.
Well, you're not referring to Ron Glass's
but I must
hairstyle,
leave
right?
it 3 years ago.
I see.
I love Ron Glass. I thought the world of him.
Yeah.
How long you say you've been?
When he ended up on Firefly,
Yes.
So good.
yeah, like a
So
real,
good.
like a real actor. I felt like, oh, hey guys, on this show. A real actor is showing you how it's done. Pay attention.
You know, I even enjoyed him in with Damon Wilson in the New Odd Couple.
I forgot all about that.
Playing Felix Unger.
Yes. Oh, now I got to go back and see that. I don't think I ever watched it, but
well, you blink and you miss it. It was on for 6 or 7 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Harris arcs is when he is tasked. It's a 2-episode arc, I believe. He's tasked on writing and directing a porno. I can't remember what the setup is, and they're watching it. There's all this exposition. Of course, he writes it where it's like, you know, Citizen Kane up until the like big part at the end. Marty and Daryl Driscoll. Yeah, Jack DeLeon.
Oh, Jack DeLeon. Yes. Okay, that's the one Wikipedia tab I still have open. DeLeon? DeLeon. I don't know how he pronounced it. Recording artist. He had an album, you know.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, called DeLeon Roars.
Oh my gosh.
Now I remember Harris had a kind of a season-long story arc when he was writing his book.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Blood on the badge, Bob.
Blood on the badge.
Blood on the badge. Oh, a part of my brain just came back to life.
And he gets sued for all the money he made on it by Ripner, right? The sleazy ambulance chasing kind of lawyer, right? The sleazy lawyer.
Really? Oh, I forgot that, but it all fits, you know?
Yeah. He sues him
this
for
guy in
defamation.
the previous episode?
Oh, yes, I do know how many times you wanted to bring special brownies to work potlucks. I actually am one of those people who will bring edibles, but I'll tell people they're edibles. Because, you know, thanks to our good friend THC, I actually don't really like alcohol much anymore.
almost never drink it now.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's gone for years. Yeah.
I know what I like.
Yeah.
And what I like are those brownie stories that okay, Joe, tell us your brownie story.
Oh.
Does it involve the Cow Palace in San Francisco?
I guess so. I don't remember the name of the place. That must be it.
Yeah. Yes, it's the Cow Palace in San Francisco. I don't know the story, but
briefly, I mean, there was a hemp festival there. This was shortly before they even legalized it. But I was determined to go get myself an edible. And I said, you know, just give me one. So, you know, how much of this do I need to eat? Just get a nice buzz. Oh, eat the whole thing. I mean, I went out to eat afterwards. I mean, I thought that the floor was tilting. I was going to fall out the window behind me. It was just something else. I was not crazy about the effect, and I found out later that the amount of marijuana in that brownie was pretty significant.
Oh yeah.
It can be.
Just kids out there, just a PSA to all the kids out there watching. You can always eat more. You can't eat less. Start small.
I
had a quarter. Build.
I had a friend, and he was the person I always describe him as my Obi-Wan of smoking. He was the one who taught me everything about smoking. Because, you know, back in the day, like when I was in college with Brodie, I didn't smoke at all. I was one of those big poo talkers about people who did smoke. So it started in my 40s, midlife. And I remember having half a brownie. And then I was like, I'm not sure this is doing anything. So I had the other half of the brownie. And then I woke up the next morning just as high as I had been the night before. And that was scary. And so, yes, kids, incremental is your friend.
We used to in I think it was around, well, it must have been for my 25th birthday. So it was 1991.
Yeah.
I made a bunch of pot brownies for the party. And then we were smoking a lot of joints. We're eating the brownies. And unbeknownst to me, Arnold Ripner, thank you, Ocean Master. Unbeknownst to me, my friends had hired a clown for my 25th birthday, but then nobody told me. 30 people kept it a secret from me. And I'm like 20 sheets to the wind when Sparky the clown, who, by the way, and I say this lovingly as a member of the LGBT community, had just a knockdown, drag-out fight, apparently, in full clown costume with his boyfriend outside. They had like this huge gay lovers fight. Oh, no. And then he came in to do my party. So someone had seen them having a fight outside the party and was like, that's a weird scene. And then the clown came into the party. And I was like, and he was, performing and doing all this stuff, sang a little song. And then he said, I know what you're thinking. He says to me, you're thinking, thank God that's over. But no, I'm here for your whole party. And it was like an hour of face painting and balloon animals. And it was, that's my favorite brownie story. Very mushy mushy.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's a great one, Dan. And I have to say, I should have known better. After all, it was a great Reverend Jim back in the day. From Texas.
Oh, Reverend, you went the Reverend Jim route.
Oh.
Ocean Master says, on the topic of cannabis and edibles, up here in Canada, you can get whatever you want. It's all 100% legal. We have been very jealous of that for a long time.
Yes,
Ocean
we
Master.
have. We have legal now in California, but yeah, you guys were way ahead of the curve.
Well, and I've had friends who tell me that the weed up there is just really healthy and just gorgeous, and I absolutely believe them. I've never partaken of any Canadian weed, but being a Californian, I don't really have to,
Because I just take it easy. Get some spring mix at the store and roll it up and smoke that. So.
Yeah.
All right, I cannot miss Jack Soo singing because
you gotta back it up. Yeah, did you back that up?
I did. I backed that ish up. I may have gone too far. Oh, let me get the.
Uh-oh.
Music of life. Jackasses. Yes.
Okay.
It's heavy, man. Heavy. And holy jackass, he calls me. I apologize to the jackasses. I don't think this is funny. Funny boy. What's happening, baby? Music of life seems to be like a bell that is ringing when the bell starts.
China's Bing Crosby.
Barney. Is your mother from
Japan?
There's a story to that.
I think he's stoned.
Stoned? What are you talking about? Hey, what do you say we guys go down to the beach and shoot some clams?
I'll never not laugh at that line.
How many of these things have you had? Mushy. I think there's something in these things. Do you have any? Mm-hmm.
And again, if you're watching us and you don't have anything to do with cannabis, keep your distance. Don't listen to us. But I will say, the thing about hash has always knocked me on my butt. Like regular cannabis, we have a great relationship, but hash is a bully. Oh, listen to
from the way that I feel.
And the bell starts.
I would love to see the outtakes from this episode.
I'm reminded of Miyagi singing in Karate Kid for some reason.
Oh my God, that's so tragic.
Yeah, all right.
That's so
Look at Harris.
He's smooth now. Smoother than usual.
How do you feel?
Hey, never felt better. I mean, not that I can remember.
You think that can work?
Oh, sure. I mean, nothing too complicated, but he can work.
Complicated.
Dial on the phone. Speak of the devil.
Precinct, Captain Miller speaking. Yeah?
Back in those days, you could openly smoke anywhere.
Yeah, I thought so. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
You were right. That's the lab. Laced with hashish.
God, I made a pig of myself.
Anybody see my legs?
I want you to go home.
They're about that long.
How's he getting home?
One's
Why we didn't drive?
I love Fish's line at the end of this.
Not to worry.
Oh,
It looks like this.
I can jump ahead.
Take him home. Two of you stay home until you feel better.
Okay, Barn, I'll stay.
We want to ride there
But I never
organically,
gonna
John.
feel no better.
So sweet.
Better not drive a car. Take a bus.
Hey, Bart. If I can't drive a car, I better not drive a bus.
You better go down the back way.
Excuse me, sir. Hogan said you needed some help up here.
All right. Can you type, Levitt?
Type.
I take it that means yes.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Can you spell cat?
Huh?
Cat, damn it. Can you spell cat? Young guys with experience up here.
Harris, take him home.
Yes, sir.
C-A-T. Cat.
Very good.
Let's do this.
Yeah, okay.
I heard it. It goes squish, squish.
Beautiful, man. That's beautiful.
Somebody had told me that they let Jack Soo make up his own lines on this one.
Is this true?
I don't know where I heard it. But
Oh, my God.
it's
I was
just,
surprised.
He was so great. He was so brilliant.
they're not like cliched jokes. They're very like individual to this episode. I just love that.
Hold on a minute, ma'am.
With some of that infamous
Sir.
coffee.
Mrs. Fish
It
wants
probably
to know
tastes
if
good
she
now
ate
that he's
dessert
made it when he was
besides the
stoned.
fish.
Tell her he's out on a call. Tell her he's already had dessert.
Please.
I love
What are you going
Helen.
to do with us?
Well, considering the absence of the arresting officers and certain other unforeseen circumstances, I'm going to release you.
Barney Miller justice. Well, you guys have calmed down. We're gonna let you
Find a
go.
more innocuous way of settling your differences. You promise?
Promise.
Thank you. Officer Levitt?
Well, they had the key hanging there on a,
Yes, sir.
you know, the whole time
Over
like
here.
Barney Fife, you know. So.
Glad to see you get a break. You guys, anyway. You know, you ain't human. You're a bunch of hot dogs. That's what you
Oh, I love this guy.
You all right?
He was on like once a season.
Bojo?
Yeah, Barn, a guy rifled 3 apartments and he tried to get away and me and Fish caught up to him.
Chased me all the way across the roof of the apartment building. Then they jumped to the bank. Jumped. The old guy just went bang, zoom, boom. Yeah. How'd you do that? There's got to be 12 feet across there, huh?
What do you think? You're playing with kids?
Oh God. Stoned fish is my favorite fish.
Bojo, are you aware that those brownies you brought in this morning were laced with hashish?
Or smoking, or smoked fish, maybe.
Okay.
That's good. That's good.
I don't
This
feel
is
a
the-
thing. I know. Are you sure? Verified by the lab report.
First time in 20 years, I felt really good. And it has to be illegal.
We all felt that way.
What's your name?
Fred.
And like so many, I'm sorry. It usually takes him a while to type anyway. But now he's going slower.
Fred what?
Gentlemen, free to go.
But this is a great moment. I mean, if we haven't touched base with this already,
And
the
Mr.
parade
Chola.
of characters
Right.
So good.
Yeah.
on this show.
I remember
And
your
there are a
promise.
bunch of shows that are very good at that, bringing you,
gentlemen, when you
people
think
every
about
week.
it,
Night Court. The
Neither
aforementioned
one of
Night
you would
Court.
have a job without
Well,
the other.
Fred here, the actor's
I
name
mean,
escapes me, Ocean
What would a
Master.
critic do without actors to criticize?
But he was all over the place back in the
Yeah.
And
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
McCuffs.
Oh yeah.
I saw him on every
Who would
kind of
ever
show,
have
playing
heard of
every
him
kind of
if it wasn't
character.
for the critics.
Yeah.
It's actually funny to see him as this like rough,
I
tough
think
guy.
maybe each of you owes the other an apology.
So
Good
just a little common
actors.
sense, you know.
Chola,
And they're taking their time.
Captain
I
says
just love it.
it's true. And I confess I acted very foolishly. I left Poland because it was impossible to express one's true feelings, one's true commitments. And I'm deeply ashamed for trying to prevent you from expressing your own true feelings honestly and completely. Mr. Pisciola, I beg your forgiveness.
You have it. With gratitude and respect, Mr. Makowski.
And finally, something on TV that's nice about Polish people.
Now that
If I can
was a
ruin it.
performance.
Sergeant, what are these for?
Crowd control.
That's amazing.
Walter Janovic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ocean Master.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ocean Master.
How's this look?
Roger, I think maybe you better go home, huh?
What's the matter?
What's the matter? On the criminal offense, you typed burglary 6 times.
Just trying to make a point.
Under arresting officer, you wrote Wojciech Howitz, chief of police.
Warren, I'm sorry, Buckle.
Oh, okay.
Warren, you forgive us?
We'll talk about it another time.
Warren, to err is human. To forgive, divine.
Wojo, will you get your coat and go home?
Forgive me, Barn. You're divine. I forgive you. Thank you.
Levitt?
Boy, you ask the average guy to be divine and see how far you get. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Levitt, I want you to take Detective Wojciech Howitz home.
Forgive me for saying so, sir, but he don't look overworked. He looks stoned.
It's okay, Levitt. It was an accident, something he ate.
Oh, yeah, sure.
True. I mean, that's why you're up here. Detective Wojciech Howitz and the others ingested a certain amount of hashish, gift wrapped as brownies.
You're not explaining to me, Captain.
It's like eating poison food.
I ain't gonna say nothing to nobody.
Poison
I
food.
don't want to keep his mouth shut.
You can say anything you want. Everybody's heard about it.
For me?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You don't have to thank me, sir. You scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. One hand washes the other, right, sir?
Whoa, Joe, come on.
Doesn't want to make the devil's bargain with Ron Carey. and that is easily like maybe the 4th hug of 2 men on television at the time.
Yeah.
It's like Sammy
Very
Davis
odd,
Jr.
especially
Sammy
with
Davis
Wojciech.
Jr. probably hugged everybody up to that point.
Okay, take him downstairs. Fingerprints and photographs.
Right away. Come on, criminal python.
Hey, what a lunch you missed, fish baby.
Here we
What
go.
A lunch. Like I told Bernice, if you ever get tired of her, I'll take her in a minute. What a hunk of woman. And you want to know something? She still fits. Just a minute.
Just a minute. That's my wife you're talking about.
Yeah, I know.
My woman, you understand? Mine, companion, mother to my daughter. That part. Take it easy. I'm not gonna kick your behind.
Yeah,
this
Fred,
time.
me too,
Slater,
man.
stay away from police, or you're gonna answer to me. Now beat it.
You lost, Kirk.
Oh my God, what's I talking about?
Dina says, I bet this ish was funny as ish back when it first aired, as I assume this sort of thing wasn't on TV much. This was one of the first times.
It was really controversial.
Oh yeah.
And during the Reagan years, they would not run this episode in repeats.
I did not know that.
Just say no, John.
Oh my
Look,
gosh.
before it gets busy around here, I think.
Yes.
Absolutely true.
Yes, absolutely true. Couldn't
What
live
happened
without her.
yesterday
And I
was,
loved her. We're gonna watch a little bit of Fish.
One of those things that
after
happens
this.
and you hope never happens again. I just want
Always
everybody to
a
know
little
that
bit
as
of
far as I'm
Fish.
concerned, the incident is forgotten.
What incident is that, Mark?
Like this aired, and I think one of the specials I saw about it said that 2 years later, Up in Smoke came out.
Oh,
So predates it. Noam Pitlick.
Noam Pitlick. Pitkin.
Pitlick.
Pitlick. Well, Danny Arnold, thank you for putting his name up in front of me. It's always good to see. All right, let's
one of the best ones.
I wanna jump to the
Michael
Jack.
Tucci.
Oh, sorry.
Jack was a
Uh,
old friend of Danny's. Jack and Danny had,
Make it big.
when they first got in the late 40s, Danny Arnold was a stand-up comic and Jack Soo was a singer. Jack Soo was billed as the Chinese Bing Crosby. Jack was a singer. He did Flower Drum Song, the movie. It was terrific.
Yeah.
And they toured together in little American Legion posts in tiny towns. So they knew each other way back when. Jack had been involved with Danny. I think when Danny was a producer on Wacky Ship, was it? A prior.
Wackiest Ship in the Army?
Anyway, Jack was a later
Danny?
addition. What happened was the original guy who sat at that desk was, I don't remember his name, was Italian. And he would have been hired again to do the second pilot, but he had appeared in a porno picture. Behind the Green Door or one of those. He had a part in it. Wasn't he didn't do any porno stuff, but he had appeared in a picture with a porno star, and the network put the kibosh on him because everybody was scared in those days of anything to do with that. And so Jack did the second of the not the second pilot, the second episode. He wasn't in the first one, and Jack was a power unto himself. Now, when Jack died, there was a big question about how they were going to handle it. He died in what, the second year, third year? Third year, I think. So he, this was relatively early in our run. There was a faction that said, write a script, because he had been gone for about 5 weeks. He was in the hospital. But according to the show, he was at the district attorney's office. He was could have written a script in where we find out that he never was at the district attorney's office, that he was sick. He didn't want anybody to know about it. Only I knew. There were all kinds of ideas about how they were going to handle the character dying. And when we came in that Monday morning, we didn't know what we were going to find. And Danny met with us and said, I'm not going to trade on the death of Jack. We're not going to write it in. We're going to do a clip show. And we did a marvelous. He said to each of us, sit down and write something you'd like to say about your relationship with Jack.
They wrote their own
Whatever you'd
pieces.
like to say.
That's amazing.
And we'll intersperse them with clips. And that's the way we did it. We sat at the desk, and I introduced myself as Hal Linden, and that Jack Soo, who plays Nick Yamana, would normally be sitting here, but unfortunately, Jack died. And we'd like to remind you of some of the wonderful things that Jack created on this show, and to tell you how we feel about it. And that was the show. It was an amazing experience to do. I'll tell you what I said, because I remembered this. I said, Jack Soo had a Chinese name. Soo is Chinese. It was a phony name. His real name was Goro Suzuki. Jack was Japanese and was in an internment camp in Utah
as a teenager
at the beginning of World War II.
Yeah.
And the only way he got out of that internment camp was to enlist in the army. And he went to Italy and fought in the army with the Japanese regiment that came from the internment camps. Now, you would not fault Jack for having a certain amount of bitterness for what he endured. But you never saw it in Jack. Jack handled it all with humor. Anytime anything got testy, Jack was funny. Jack was a very funny, personally funny man. And he never, at least I never saw it, never saw any bitterness toward, from anything that he had to endure to become Jack Soo. The fact of the matter is that when he got out of the army and tried to have a career, he knew that if his name was Jack Suzuki, that was in 1946 or 7, that was not exactly a great stage name. And that's when he chose Soo and called himself the Chinese Bing Crosby, knowing full well that Americans couldn't distinguish between Japanese and Chinese. And so he played into it, he used it. But that was Jack. He was one of the most naturally funny human beings you ever saw.
Jack was also not ubiquitous on television because he would not take the roles that were written for Japanese actors or Asian actors for that matter. He wouldn't play houseboys. He wouldn't, he didn't like playing servants. He didn't like playing, the guy with the camera. He didn't like doing any of the stereotype stuff. So he really did not get a lot of work. So it's kind of awesome and fantastic that he created this very legendary TV character of Nick Yamana.
Totally got teared up there. That totally teared me up. 100%.
It was
even just thinking about it, man. Just
to go
so good.
To go from these internment camps, and let's not paint a nice face on them. They were concentration camps. They were freaking awful. And it says so much to his character that he served this country in World War II. Yeah. Pat Morita, I actually found a mention of that where Pat Morita, who had played Mr. Miyagi and Arnold on Happy Days, had said, none of us were Japanese for about 40 years after World War II. Right. It was so tough for those actors, for those people, for those Americans, to get through.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Fred, the toast at the end with the cup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just gets you all the feels, man.
That always
just hits you right in the feels.
Always does me in. And it was a beautiful episode. I had forgotten.
It was a gorgeous episode. Yeah, it was a gorgeous episode. Jack Soo shows up on the first season of MASH, at first or second season, where they sell Henry Blake's desk to Jack Soo in exchange for something. And then the way they get it out is the entire back wall of Blake's office goes down, and they take the desk out by helicopter. And I believe, if I'm remembering this correctly, and it flies out. But is he in 2 episodes of In MASH?
Yeah. Stevie's saying 2 episodes. Yeah, that's
So
great.
good.
That's great.
Yeah, that was, I remember seeing him being like, oh my God, Jack Soo. But this is, of course, years later in reruns.
As Mr. Kim and one other character is basically the same character, but a different name. Yeah. So, I mean, and that's another thing about Hollywood, too. Here's a Japanese guy who gives himself a Chinese name and then plays Koreans. You take the work you can get.
Yeah.
Never can get through that episode with dry eyes. Honest to goodness, I don't think I've watched it since the 70s, and I know it would do me in. I know it would hit me like a wrecking ball.
Well, I never knew that Sue was shortened from Suzuki.
Yeah.
And more importantly, I had completely forgotten that they never wrote the character of Nick Piamonta's passing into the story. It was just, what? Audience, use your imagination. He's retired. He passed away, whatever, but we're going to honor Jack Soo. And I agree. That was the way to go.
It's kind of amazing too. So few shows would do that. So of course, all credit to Danny Arnold for saying, "Look, you're watching us. We're actors. We're playing these characters, and one of our guys just died, and you'll come with us on this journey, on this sentimental journey through these clips, because clip shows had been around for a little while at this point." I think anytime they were having trouble on the sets of like Brady Bunch would do them. I swear I've seen more than one on The Odd Couple. But to do it like this, to say we're going to pay tribute to this actor, that's very ahead of its time and very smart. And I really do appreciate that. All right, let's take a look at the very first episode of Fish.
I think it only lasted a year, right?
Yeah, I think it was just a year.
I want to say it was on for one season and part of a second, because I think there are 30 plus episodes.
Yeah.
Not much into the second one though.
Chat GPT says it lasted for one season, 1977 to 78. But Chat GPT, this weigh that with. I mean, I welcome our AI overlords, but it's not always 100%.
It's no Claude. That's the one I've been using lately. No, John, you don't use. Yes, of course I do.
Hey, John, I recommend Perplexity for iPhone, by the way. Is fantastic. I love it. It's free.
I can never talk to my really amazing techie friends like you, Brodie, because I can't have an iPhone.
Oh, I think it's free. I think you can get it for Android too. Yeah, in fact, I know you can because my friend. Yeah.
Oh, Perplexity.
Perplexity for yeah.
These hands are too big for an iPhone.
You'll need an iPhone Max, a $2,000 iPhone Max.
Didn't ChatGPT also say you could smoke 2 cigarettes a day while pregnant, or was that another AI?
I believe that's true.
They really are trying to kill us off, aren't they?
By the way, Ocean Master, Flower Drum Song. Yeah. I want to find that. I did. It's so gotta be. That's got to be around somewhere.
My wife never watched Barney Miller.
Really?
Yes, and I said, "You never watched Barney Miller?" And she said, "It was on after Welcome Back, Kotter, and I wasn't going to watch that." And honestly, I loved Welcome Back, Kotter. That's how I ended up.
Yeah, so much.
Yeah,
loved it.
That's how I ended up with that. I also wanted to get back to okay, so there was another.
Although I think Horshack on Welcome Back, Kotter, playing a high school kid, was the age of Abe Vigoda at the time.
Poor Ron Palillo.
Yes, I know you're gonna love it.
After all these years in the apartment, a house would be wonderful for a change.
Okay, so
Not that I don't love our apartment.
so Ocean Master
Just
says
such a
Bernice
nice
Fish's wife was played by Florence
place.
Stanley.
Oh,
6 episodes of Barney Miller. Actually, replaced for one single episode called
Just
Fish by
look at
actress
this.
Doris Bellac. Oh my
was
God!
I right?
Wow.
Indeed, there were 2
I
Bernices.
told the
Oh,
movie men to
Bernice.
just put everything down anywhere. And we would decide how to arrange it later. I told them my husband had wonderful taste. Just look across the room with your eyes squinted a little bit.
oh, 2 seasons. That makes sense.
See the possibilities. Oh, look, wait till you see this.
We also find out now. I don't. Maybe we found out this earlier. So correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. But we find out that Fish's full name is Philip K. Fish.
Is that true?
That is true.
I believe you are right, John. That sounds totally familiar.
So how is that not some kind of tribute to Philip K. Dick?
It's gotta
You said
be,
you
right?
gave it a chance.
I did. That's as
I
much
mean,
of a chance as
it's
I wanted.
way too close.
But we told the social services department we'd take the job.
Well, tell them we changed our mind.
And
Tell them that we don't get along with children.
Well, there was, if
They
I
make
am I
us nervous.
remembering this correctly, wasn't there a crossover before this pilot
Didn't our own children make
where
me
they
nervous?
show up with the kids
Here.
at the
So what
12th
would I do with
precinct?
other people?
Oh
On
boy.
Barney
And
Miller?
delinquent
Yeah, that's
other
a
people.
that is a deep detail. Maybe Ocean Master can help us with that one. I do remember there was a crossover that some of the kids came onto the Barney Miller
Keep the house.
show.
But send
No,
back
that much I can verify.
A
is that-
fish,
but it
What
wasn't
were
a
you doing
crossover with
after
this
the
pilot.
pilot?
It came later. It might
Moby
be-
did.
There are a lot of things I can
Fish.
do. I'm only
They
62
may
years
even have the
old.
kids on Barney Miller after
I've
this
had
show was
38 years
canceled. If I
experience
recall
of the New
correctly.
York City Police
Kids from
Department.
Barney Miller and some kids crossed
There's a lot
over
of
to
jobs
Fish.
that
Oh,
men like.
Yeah.
did they debut on
They-
Barney Miller?
I believe they did, didn't they? Like there was an episode where they
more than a
arrest,
job,
where they
Fish.
get like, they
Living
show
with these
up at the
children.
precinct. Are they arrested or
Taking
something?
care
I think there was like maybe the 2 oldest
That'll
ones
make us
showed up
young
on Barney
again.
Miller.
Maybe.
Not all
That
of them.
could be.
Yeah.
I was young once, and I wasn't good at it.
Fish, it's them.
Oh God.
Of course, you have to
Please,
acknowledge
Fish,
that
try.
young Todd
Take it
Bridges makes
easy.
his many appearances here
Oh,
on his long road to Willis.
Todd Bridges.
Mr. Fish,
Yeah.
If we have any time, I'll tell you my
From the
Todd
Children's
Bridges
Center.
story.
Sign
It's a
here.
nice one. It's a
I
good
work for
story.
the city. I don't sign anything.
somebody's got to sign.
Bernice.
Bernice.
And can I say I love the name Bernice? I would have totally named my daughter Bernice.
I got 5 of them.
That's why it's
That's
good
what
to
I
have kids.
What are you going to do with them?
I don't know. You got any ideas?
I'd keep them away from regular people. Okay.
Here they come.
And I got to say, Todd Bridges is such a great child actor.
How do you remember there being this many kids?
There's a lot of kids.
And it was these 2 that were on Barney Miller, I'm pretty sure.
Nice to see you
Okay,
again, Victor.
that's what. Yeah, that.
These 2, I'm sorry. The big
Yeah,
guy
this guy
and,
and
these 2
her.
right here.
Jilly,
Yeah.
weren't too
I'm
sure you
pointing the
guys
screen
were
like you
going
can
to
see me
show up
point.
today.
Yeah, no, me too.
Are we getting a TV?
We have a 25-inch color set
Todd
with remote
Bridges
control.
And
was on
someday,
a
if you
really
save your
great
money,
episode of Blue House on
maybe
the
you'll have
Prairie.
one too.
Yeah, there you go. Jillian Victor. Yeah, thank you,
What's
Ocean
your
Master.
name?
Yes.
Diane
So
Polanski.
there's a
But I'm
Victor,
gonna change it.
Victor.
Like on TV, they say that John Wayne's real name is Marion. And like Dinah Shore, who really looks good for her age.
How do you do?
Hey, kid, say hello to Mrs.
Don't nobody mess with me, and I don't
he's
mess
so
with you.
young.
He's just a baby.
I'm Mrs. Fish.
And if anybody does mess with me, they're gonna get whooped, and I ain't lying.
Hey, kid, say hello to Mrs.
Hello, Mrs.
Hi, my name is Mike Faruni. I appreciate the opportunity.
That's Mike
Hey, you're doing a
Lembeck, is it
great
not?
job here.
It
So
is.
far.
Did he
Michael-
go from this to
Times
One
you've
Day
been
at a
arrested.
Time, or had he
No more
already
than
been
any
on
other
One Day at a Time?
No,
Oh,
no, this was
shit.
years
I'm a
before
cop,
One
you
Day
know.
at a Time.
Is it?
Hey, I don't hold any
Yes.
grudges.
Before he came on it anyway.
You realize, of course, he was one of the most prolific directors
Bernice,
on the
come
show
here.
Friends.
Charlie, come in.
Oh yeah.
Charlie. Say
Oh my
hello
God,
to
this
Charlie
guy.
Harris.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Mr. Fish.
Charlie
this
and
is a
one form or
great
another is
pleasure.
on all kinds of
Are
sitcoms.
you one of them or are you one of us?
He's one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
He's
too.
27, and he's studying
guy?
for his doctorate
Yeah,
in
yeah, the
child
Woody Allen guy,
psychology
yeah.
at NYU.
You know, I can't tell you how
Oh my God.
excited I am about this opportunity to mold young minds, to shape and influence the components of a prospective adult.
No, but I will
Understand
recommend
there's
one
not a
more
lot you
time.
can do for me.
Seek out the Little House on Todd Bridges. It's a
understand.
really
Good.
good one.
Oh wow. 9-year-old Todd
Bernice,
Bridges
you're
appeared on
excited about
Barney
this, I
Miller
can tell.
season 1
I'm
episode
very
called The
excited.
Hero. Thank you, Ocean Master.
Oh, Charlie, this is
Say that
Victor
again, Joe.
Kreutzer.
Which
Hey, man.
I said,
Give me 5.
seek out the Little House on the Prairie episode.
Oh my God, I know.
No!
I got
He plays a young
uncle
child
who's
that's
in
just
Chicago.
only a few years beyond slavery at that point in the show.
Oh wow.
Really
I've seen
poignant
that.
and great.
Probably a suicide.
I'll go bear in the backyard.
Leave him alone.
Okay. Now I'll call it Fred.
Weird cut to commercial, but okay. Oh, weird cut to credits, but okay. It's so true. It's so true. I love how every time Ocean Master gives some bits, everyone says, "Thank you, Ocean Master, as the royalty." I mean, honestly, you've saved us so much
It's
more.
true. Seriously.
Saved us so many moments of like, I don't know. Do you know? No, I don't know. Oh well. Barry Gordon. There you go.
I have to
That's
say
it.
though that this theme is kind of somehow anti-fish.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't quite fit for me.
Yeah, it's a little much. Oh, classic 70s credits ender. Yeah.
When we get our own bedroom.
Well, not to mention that was
It'll
we
be
forgot to
just
mention
like
that
it's always
Fish was
been.
always coming out of the bathroom, wasn't he?
That's right. That's true.
Yeah, they did continue doing that.
Do we consider this
Oh,
this
no, you
Abe
can't go,
Vigoda's
Fish.
Hello,
We need you to get
Larry?
things organized. You're such a good organizer.
Oh my. Oh my. My.
Dude, can I
that's
make
his
that
right or is it
direct
covered?
straight across the
That cuts deep, Brodie.
yeah.
Because it could be.
I
Well,
watched
or,
Hello, Larry when he
I
left
like you.
when what's his face left MASH,
Yeah, I don't like short punks.
and it was
Come on,
terrible. And I believe it was sort of comparable to this.
well,
I wouldn't even go so far as to say this might be Abe Vigoda's Aftermath.
Oh, there you go.
ooh. Oh, it's like things are flying through the room.
We can't all be
Dangerous
Christ-
around here.
You want your phones in or what?
Come in.
Yeah, I don't know, because I
Downstairs
mean,
phone on the
you know,
wall
especially at
over
this time,
here.
I remember
near
there
the
being an article that I read in my TV guide. It was one of these, you know,
Here.
we talked to Abe Vigoda about, you know, what it's like to have his own show. And he said, and I'm like, you know, like 11 years old when I'm reading this, but he said, my wife and I were so used to being actors in New York City and being poor that we have no idea what to do with this much money. And so I'm hoping they saved it up and they just, you know, and they lived off that, because he didn't get a whole lot of TV shows after this.
Well, I mean, and John, this is possibly a topic for a future episode of ours. But there were so many unfortunate examples of sitcoms that just didn't make it when they took an admittedly great supporting character and tried to make him a lead.
Right.
Fish,
There-
the Ropers,
there's
Dr. Alice, you know.
Yeah, there's that terrible story about Norman Fell not wanting to do the Ropers because he doesn't want to lose his great gig on Three's Company. And they do move him out, and they do replace him with Don Knotts of all
Which
people.
was the weirdest choice, man.
But Don Knotts was beloved. And so Norman Fell like tried to come back after his show was canceled. He tried to come back. I know this from watching the TV movie Come and Knock at Our Door.
There's an authority.
But yeah, he couldn't come back, and he was screwed. He lost the great job. He didn't get that dream of having a big successful spinoff. Just heartbreaking.
Well, John, the other part of that story is that he had it written into his contract that if the Ropers was canceled within one season, he could go back to his company.
Right.
It lasted a year and a half.
Right. That's just so disappointing. Okay, I do want to
crackpot though. I do want to address Amoral Crackpot. Trapper John MD was actually a good show, though. That had legs. It lasted for a while. It was pretty well written comparatively to like After MASH or dare we say Joey. You know,
good choice. Good choice.
So sad.
I do want to catch up on some of the comments. Amoral Crackpot, Stevie, also
The
says,
VO guy, that's right.
Yeah, so he, I already can't remember his name. Barry Gordon did the voice of Donatello. I used to work with Barry occasionally, and in voiceover. Oh, just one of the greatest guys.
He was in everything back in the 70s too. That was another. He was another actor. He would show up on all sorts of shows all the time.
Well, I remember him right now from Archie Bunker's Place. As Billy
awesome.
As Billy Bunker's boyfriend. How about that for alliteration?
That's awesome. Adina says, as people lived in the 70s, please tell me, why was everything brown?
Yeah.
I think there was this idea that we were getting back to nature and we were getting into these sort of like earth tones. And so there were browns and beiges and ecru.
Avocado greens.
Green.
And oranges.
And yellow. Goldenrod.
I mean, who didn't have an avocado green refrigerator?
Oh my God. My mom got the avocado green refrigerator and then saved up green stamps. Oh, look at that. Look at that gorgeous phone. And that's a dialer. Oh no.
It's a trim line.
One of the futuristic push button deals. And of course, Stevie says you need those colors to hide the smog stains. Yes. Now, actor John Cassisi was fascinating to me because when I was watching the show, I was around the same age that he was.
Yeah.
Played Victor here. Later on in real life, pled guilty to a bribery scheme and was sentenced to 2 to 6 years in prison. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
If Fish only ran one more season, he wouldn't have had to go that route.
Oh man. Adina says bribery for what? And Ocean Master.
Construction company. He sounds like he would run a construction company even at this age. He says that.
And take
It's
payola,
like
apparently.
Yeah.
It's like the stereotypes are just falling out of this show. And now what was this one? There was a weird spin-off of Martin. Oh.
There's just way too many kids. For one thing, does this happen before Facts of Life? Different? Yeah, it's got to happen before Facts of Life. Different Strokes was the same time. Different Strokes as Todd Bridges. Facts of Life started off with first season with like 7 billion kids in it, and then they pare that down way down. Yeah, and this is the same. This has the same problem here. There's too many kids.
Yeah, this might have been the last thing Todd Bridges did before Different Strokes.
Is that Cashew?
That's my cat. She wants me to get her food. Come on.
I thought it was something in the show.
No.
we can excuse you if you want. I would hate for your baby to hate this show.
Oh, she's eaten 17 times today. So
John Atkinson says we still have an avocado green crock pot. Yes. And we're currently eating dinner prepared. That sucker. Excellent. Oh, stop.
Hey, the classics never die.
I think Ocean Master's right. I think that's true. I would say that's one of the most successful spinoffs.
Yeah.
11 seasons, which was quite a feat.
Yeah.
Best supporting cat.
She really stepped out. She really made herself known, and I admire that about Cashew. I really do.
Yeah, she will slash my face off given half a chance.
With those thumbs.
Yeah.
I love your cat.
That
What an
makes one
embarrassing
of
thing to say.
No, I love my cat.
Oh my gosh. John Cassini. I just look at this kid and I go, man, who thought of putting him on TV? And yet, wasn't he in that movie that Jodie Foster did of the kid gangsters?
Oh my God, what was it called?
Oh,
was it Nickelodeon? No, what was it called?
I want to say Bugsy Malone.
Bugsy Malone.
Yeah,
and
Scott
Chachi
Baio
was in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, was he? Baio was in it?
He was Bugsy.
Yeah, it was so terrible. Bugsy Malone. Yeah.
Get
me
like
all
right
the
around like
Italian
little
kid.
pedal cars and stuff like that.
I mean,
that was a terrible, terrible movie. Yeah, I think you're right. He is in that. I like how here they're going for the realism by not getting rid of the unibrow when they could have very easily done that in makeup before they shot.
Oh, that's true. That is true. I think it's actually entirely possible that Scott Baio at that age might have needed a little brow cleanup, and I'm betting he got it.
I bet, yeah.
Oh my goodness! I mean, Mike Lickland had to have his hair dyed black to be Bobby Brady.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Is that why his hair is like red in everything else I've seen him do?
Well, it was also red later on in the Brady Bunch when they relaxed that requirement.
Yeah,
When
because
he
he
was
was
little.
blonde. He was towhead. Unibrow costs extra. Fat Sam
Hey,
I don't know how to
every
pronounce
morning,
that.
my friends. Every morning.
That is awesome. I was just a little old for Bugsy when it came out, so I never actually saw it, but I did read a lot about it.
It's one of the few movies as a like, you know, tween maybe or teen that I walked out of. I didn't walk out of many things.
You're
and
kidding me.
I quite literally was like, oh no. It was one of the early films in which I was like, oh, a film can also be bad. Oh, okay. I get that now.
Well, like I said, what was so odd was they were going around like little Fred Flintstone pedal cars. You know?
Yeah.
Every choice was worse than the last choice.
Well, it's one of those like, how did this get made? I mean, it's been made. By the time I knew about it, it was hitting theaters. But I was like, how did that ever get made?
They had machine guns that like shot like custard pies or whatever.
Yeah.
Come out with your hands up.
Really, I would love to see that now. That might be a thing you guys need to do on an episode. But
You
shut
got
that
that?
down.
We
I'm
sat
in
through an
for that
unsinkable
ride.
Jodie Foster movie last week, so I don't know. Are we ready for another one, John?
Oh, you know something? It could happen. There could be a lot of people who would love it.
Yeah, Fred, surprisingly, he was in something else. I know.
Oh, hang on, I'm behind.
He parlayed this brief show into a career of one more thing.
He was a standout on this show. I mean, I'll say that. In many ways, you know, he's the arch nemesis of Fish in many ways, although
They should have just had three. Him, the girl, Todd Bridges, and killed the rest of them. Well, you know what.
find them homes.
Yeah. Different homes elsewhere that we're not watching.
Now, was there a brief period where Abe Vigoda appeared on both shows? Because he wasn't retired yet here.
Me too.
Oh, I think he is retired at the very beginning. I think they say when he's talking to the cop who's dropping the kids off. He's like, "Oh, I'm retired."
Yeah, because I believe
You know
it's
what a
one
time
of
clock
the.
is?
No, I could be wrong about
Man
that.
is better off dead.
I don't remember this film Gemini. I'm gonna have to look that up.
I don't remember Gemini at all. Yeah.
Egg salad and
I remember Gemini Man.
Yes. He's invisible.
Yes. They tell me I'm
Wasn't
one of New York's finest.
Yes, he was the one who could be invisible. I think it was like for 58 seconds, and he had to like
Gray
time it.
hairs and goodbye.
Was that the plot of Gemini Man?
Yes, which came out very close to when The Invisible Man with David.
And I'll tell you the truth.
McCullough?
I'm not
McCullough
too
from
crazy about you either.
Man from
Well,
Uncle.
they canceled that, then they made Gemini Man, trying to guess retweak it somehow.
They're like, we already have the sets.
How much?
Oh my God.
Doc Bale was in Gemini. Wow.
What?
So
I have to check
Now
this out.
that's news.
interesting.
I have to check this out.
Now, I have to admit, I had a crush on this young lady back in the day.
Well,
I was her age then, so don't call me a perv now. Okay?
no, that was. I mean, it was so easy for us to have crushes on girls in the 70s. So much so that when I see those flipped out layered hairstyles, I'm
Well,
still
don't forget the hip huggers and the bell bottoms, John.
Oh, you know something? The big comb with the handle on it sticking out of the back pocket.
Oh yeah,
right.
Had to have it. You had to have one. Couldn't walk through the halls of school without a goody comb, man.
You're all here on
But
probation to see.
I
if
do
you
like
act
that
you
the
would
hair
do.
and makeup people really did a great job on this cast.
Whether I stay is anybody's guess.
They cleaned
If
up
you want my
Vigoda's
opinion, I think our
unibrow.
chances of
They
making this
did.
thing work are about as good as Fred's down the
It's just amazing for me to watch this. I'm just looking at Abe Vigoda's smooth face.
No fight.
A face I don't even see in the mirror when I wash mine anymore.
And remember, I'm a cop.
Oh my God, Ocean Master. The Invisible Man TV show indeed is on myself along with other short-lived TV show called Automan.
Automan. I don't remember Automan.
Automan was the shit. It was
And if it doesn't
such
work
a
out-
good/bad show.
Oh.
I think Desi Arnaz Jr. is on that with him. I think he's like the normal guy. He's like
I mean,
the
there was no shortage of vintage entertainment. Let's not forget Manimal after all. Come on.
Manimal. Manimal. The Letterman, the way Letterman took Manimal apart episode after episode on his show, excuse me, was just so brilliant.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Automan used a lot of Tron effects. That's right.
Not Tron-like effects, but effects stolen from the movie.
Zero memory of it.
Oh, well, we're going to have to see if we can show you Automan one of these days, bro.
Oh, do it. I will tune in for that, man.
Unibrows of the 70s got moved to the rear.
Now that makes sense.
The unibrows were invited to the party in the back.
I'm sorry we couldn't spend our first night in our new home in our own bed.
What happened to their bed?
I feel like I've enlisted in the Foreign Legion.
The Foreign Legion. I'm going to do the Foreign Legion joke. And then have a nice moment with Bernice.
I think it was.
I know you
very
could show
nice
a
of
couple
you.
of bed together by this
Free
point,
to
but maybe
take
not
the
old
upper
people. Maybe that's their
bunk,
stretch.
give me the lower.
You could definitely. No, Carol and Mike Brady completely broke the. Oh no, we're in the same bed. It's a big bed.
But did they have one foot on the floor?
No, but they always had books.
Well, they were the first somewhat conventional couple
No, I
to
have a good
be in the same
idea.
bed, but they weren't the first.
Why don't you
Who would that be,
climb
John?
down here and we can share the lower bunk together?
That would be Desi and Lucy.
No.
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 Who's the
No,
first
that
couple?
would be that would be Herman and Lily Munster.
Oh,
Get out of here!
Is
Get
that
out! You
true?
got me! You got me!
Come on.
We saw Lucy and Ricky's beds pushed together.
They were
on
pushed
occasion, but they were never in it.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to conceive little Ricky somehow. Until little Ricky. Doesn't that always fall apart when the kid comes?
Oh, damn, gee. I don't know. All my kids have paws. All my kids are like cashew.
That was a very long epilogue for this first episode.
It was. I don't know what they went through with this first episode. But
you know what this
probably
sounds like? The theme for the White Shadow.
Thank you
Oh, it
so
does
much
a
for
little
joining
bit.
us, Ocean Master. We're going to be wrapping it up soon, but yeah, we are going to drag on a little
Thank
bit.
you,
So,
Ocean Master.
Thank
You were
you.
awesome.
please come back to the show.
Come back.
We'll be looking for you. To
Sundays
invite you to
at
the show
7.
again. Yes, Sundays at 7. Oh, we're changing our time. We're changing our time. On the West Coast here, it will be Sundays at 5. Is that what we decided?
5 o'clock PST, 8 o'clock EST.
Yes.
Starting next week.
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. Little scene. Oh, everybody loves Ocean.
You gotta have Inspector Luger.
Yeah, so yes, Adina, back to 5 p.m. Just because my show ended. My play ended. So
Is that why it was? Okay.
Yeah,
give our friends in the East a chance to join us at an earlier hour again. So
that's it's like when we get Barry Cordman as a guest on the show, and he's on like at 12:30 Monday morning. I feel so bad because we just keep going on this show. But there is another thing I wanted to take a look at.
You don't want to hear him talk about Brownie and Kleiner and
hey, Cashew.
Oh, is Cashew back?
Yeah, she's gonna be back until she gets more food. I'm gonna get fat shamed by my vet.
Now I'm gonna show you a little bit of it's a half-hour sort of video documentary made by a YouTuber named Matt Baum. And I have to say, I'm a huge fan of Matt. He does a lot of stories that come from television and the stuff that we like, the nostalgia stuff that we like. But he is very much focused on LGBTQ plus and how certain boundaries and taboos were broken. Especially when it comes to queer representation on screen. Yeah. And so I would definitely suggest that you watch this on your own time, but I want to go through pieces of it because he is talking about one of the most important things that I think happened on Barney Miller. And it's actually one of the things that kind of shaped me in terms of my wanting to be progressive. As a kid, Barney Miller taught me a lot about the world as the world was kind of unfolding itself in the 70s. And I really appreciate that. And I wanted to share this with you. We'll watch parts of this. Okay. So this is from Matt Baum's video, How Barney Miller's Gay Couple Defeated the Network Censors. And let me...
Yay, I love these characters. It's so true to life. It really is. From back then, it's just so true.
I don't know if we're going to get to this point that Matt makes, but I'll make sure we cover it, which is that there had been gay-themed episodes of television, and they were terrible. On Marcus Welby, they cure a man's gayness.
Cured.
On Police Woman, there is a gang of criminals. And their only thing that they have in common is they're lesbians. Because those lesbians, they create these criminal gangs. You got to watch out for them. We're keeping our eye on you, Brodie.
I love these guys.
You and your criminal antics. So here we go.
Daryl was arrested the other day by a detective from this precinct.
What charge?
Being unique.
In 1975, TV producer Danny Arnold created Barney Miller, a sitcom set at a police station in Greenwich Village. He wanted to make sure the show reflected the setting, which at the time was the heart of gay culture in New York. As a result, the show had a lot of firsts for queer representation on TV. One of TV's first recurring gay characters, one of the first gay couples, one of the first gay immigrants, even one of the first gay sleepovers.
Did you understand the expression man to man? Very well.
It wasn't easy for him to do, because all this was happening at a time when television was under pressure from Congress to clean up its act, and networks had decided to scrub their gay content. Danny Arnold gambled his career on putting gay representation on TV at a time when Congress didn't want it, networks didn't want it, and an increasingly vocal religious right didn't want it. So, was that gamble worth it? Hey, I'm Matt Baum. I make videos about pop culture, and this time I want to show you how Barney Miller wove gay storylines into the comedy. This is a story of how a gay activist and a producer who got his start on Bewitched teamed up to defeat one of the most powerful censors in Hollywood. So if you're not familiar, Barney Miller was a sitcom that ran from 1975 to 1982. Producer Danny Arnold had previously helped create the show Bewitched, which was about a closeted witch living in suburbia.
That's a funny way of putting it. Have you ever thought of it that way? A closeted witch.
A new sitcom that was a little more grounded. It was set at a police station. Here's how he described it.
The show was not a gimmick show. I mean, it wasn't about somebody dying and coming back as a ball of butter or radio or anything like that.
Honestly, I would have watched that, but fair enough. Danny started working on a concept about a bunch of gritty but grounded cops working together in a New York police station.
It's true, Dana. We basically do two shows when we tape.
The network had so little confidence in the idea that they only ordered 2 episodes. So Danny knew he had to make them really good. As luck would have it, he hit the jackpot with the casting, finding a bunch of actors who all fit together perfectly and were funny.
Well, and this was his second cast, and that's interesting too.
You gotta have a sense of humor in a job like this. Yes, sir, I definitely can keep it to myself.
Wojo, who's kind of a staff himbo.
On the criminal offense.
Never thought of him as the himbo, but I guess he was.
Just trying to make a point.
Nick Yamana, a deadpan coffee lover.
If you're gonna cool off, you drink something hot. It's physics.
Where'd you learn that?
It was on the back of a jar of coffee.
Seasoned cop, Detective Fish.
How long you been a cop?
I was the first.
And Detective
Such a
Harris,
good life.
the classy one.
You're simply going to have to realize that the people who patronize today's erotic films are a lot more sophisticated than you and your friends were.
By the way, if he looks familiar, it's Shepard Book from Firefly.
Don't the Bible have some specific
I love
things to say
that.
about killing?
Quite specific. It is, however, somewhat fuzzier on the subject of kneecaps.
Not only were these all fantastic actors, they all clearly enjoyed working together and making each other laugh.
Hey, Harris. It's really great working with you. It's nice working with you, too.
With the perfect cast in place, Danny decided to give
Now I'm
himself
assuming that's a blooper.
I would hope so. Real-life stories that he found in the newspaper. And he said it in Greenwich Village.
I don't remember it from my childhood.
New York's gay life, just a few years after Stonewall.
Now, that
and
is...
gay characters would have been a natural part
just
of the
a few years
much
after
to
Stonewall.
ABC's
That is
dismay. We'll get to that
fascinating.
in just a bit.
Yeah.
Sure enough,
Stonewall
the very
was
first episode
69,
after the
this is
pilot in
75.
January of 1975 introduces a gay character named Marty. He's a thief who was caught snatching purses.
I've thrown away better purses than that.
Maniac!
You just love all this attention, don't you?
Marty's clearly a regular here. He's got a friendly
it's too
relationship
late,
with everyone in the station,
It's too
including
late.
Captain
But
Miller.
this is
In
cool
fact, he
because you
mentions he
get to
once
see
tried out
the
to be a
full
cop.
arc of Marty as a character, which is a
ridiculous.
big deal.
What's wrong with a gay
because
cop?
Marty was like one of the first. He was the first out gay
I wanna point out
character
two
I
things
remember
here. First,
seeing.
I
on
love
television.
Marty's outfit. Look
And,
at that.
and he
And
travels through
second,
all the
did you hear how the
seasons.
audience laughed
Yeah.
at the question, what's wrong with a gay cop? This was 1975, and
Oh,
police
yeah, that's
departments
right.
around the country were known for arresting queer people and being vocally opposed to ever hiring queer people.
Right.
The idea of a gay police officer seems so ridiculous. It was just assumed to be the punchline of a joke. But this is actually an example of how the show lifted storylines from real life. At the same time that this episode was being filmed, 2 legislators from New York had just introduced the first nationwide bill to ban employment discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation. So you can already see
75.
showrunner Danny Arnold using the show
It didn't
to
happen
introduce
till
what
then.
was, to many viewers at the time, a brand new concept. But Marty's main
Worth
function in this
noting,
episode was to
women
hang around the
couldn't get a
station
credit
and make
card
funny
by
quips.
themselves
You're just
without a
lucky
man
the police
signing
got you
until
before my
74.
husband did.
Same to you.
I forgot that was 74. Holy
Honestly, I
cow.
like this character a lot. Marty's funny, he's confident, he's smart, and he's openly gay. There's no ambiguity or winking about it.
What did you do?
I held up a candy store.
I have candy at my place.
Is it ruining the jokes that I have the closed captioning on? Because I feel like the
When executives saw this
punchlines are
footage,
coming too
they
soon.
Panicked. Openly queer characters were still relatively new to prime time, and the networks had just been put through the ringer over some particularly bad portrayals.
You are not wrong,
Gay characters
Adina.
on the show Marcus Welby, where a doctor cures a man's homosexuality, and also on Policewoman, which featured a gang of killer lesbians.
All right, sweetheart. Arrest me, and then let's just see what happens.
Gay viewers were furious about these episodes, and they staged high-profile protests,
Is it
even
bad? I wanna see
storming
that episode of
executives'
Policewoman.
offices and disrupting broadcasts. ABC was not eager to repeat
it
that,
isn't.
and for a
Although it
while,
might be
looked
like
they
Set It
might
Off.
not
I
let
don't
the
know.
show make it to air. But Danny Arnold was ready. He had a secret weapon, a man named Newt Dieter. Newt was a clinical
I'm gonna
psychologist who worked
skip
with an
ahead through the
organization
Newt
called the Gay
Dieter
Media
parts.
Task Force. They'd
I'm
formed
just
this,
going to tell
few
you
years
that Newt was he was representing gay groups and trying to get better representation on television. He as a gay man, did not have any problems with the character of Marty, and basically said to Danny Arnold, yeah, you're doing fine. Marty's a good character. You can keep him. Okay, hang on.
Well, that's good endorsement. I mean,
the main story of this one is that a mafia informant is afraid that somebody's trying to kill him. But, hey, do you recognize this informant? Anything familiar about his face?
I love this actor.
It's Stan from the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Guess he just has bad luck with Italians. Meanwhile, Marty's arrested.
I have
for stealing
never
luggage,
seen the
and
Golden
once
Girls.
again, he gets all the fines.
Ever.
When are you going to learn you
Well,
can't
you
take
should
things that
just
belong to
go
other
see
people?
the drag
Why would I take
stage
something that
version.
belonged to
It's
me?
better.
Just like before, Marty's role is mostly to stand around making quips, and he does a great job. The jokes are great, and this actor, Jack DeLeon, can get a lot of laughs
DeLeon.
out of just a look.
I won't book you, but I'm going to have to hold you.
When season 1 ended in spring of '75, Marty had achieved something that almost never happened on TV. By appearing in multiple episodes, he'd become one of television's first recurring gay characters.
Imagine.
There's been a few others before him on
75.
shows, The Corner Bar and Hot L Baltimore, but those were both, sorry to say, huge flops that almost nobody watched. Marty was the first one on a show that actually gained a following.
Stereotypical characters too, as I
Did
recall.
queer audiences
Yeah.
celebrate this trailblazing new character? No, they did not. Turns out, Newt Dieter misjudged. Even though Marty was better than characters who'd appeared on other shows, gay audiences were still offended by the stereotype of a gay character who's effeminate and a criminal. The Gay Media Task Force got an earful from gay viewers. But to his credit, Newt listened to the complaints, and so did Danny Arnold. Over the summer of 1975, the two of them went back to the drawing board to come up with a solution. And by the way, a lot of this research comes from the book Alternate Channels, which I highly recommend.
So I'm plugging Matt's video.
The
Matt
character
is
Marty
plugging that
presented
book,
Newt and Danny
but by all means.
On one hand,
Partake of all.
Newt felt that Marty wasn't unrealistic. There are many effeminate, flamboyant gay men, so he didn't want to lose the character altogether. But on the other hand, because Marty was the only gay character on the show, it reinforced a popular misconception that all gay men are effeminate, and also that they're amoral criminals and out to seduce straight men. That trope had a way of showing up over and over on TV, and if that was
Mostly
the only
written by
depiction that
straight
viewers ever
men.
saw, it just deepened the
About how
stereotype in
much the
public's
gays
mind.
want them.
So Newt and Danny came up with an idea. What if they kept Marty, but with a couple of strategic changes? And as they got to work on the show's second season, the writers started cooking up a bunch of big, bold tweaks to the character. By the summer of 1975, they were ready to go into production on a script for the fall season. But then a new problem came up.
And this is
guy, Arthur Schneider.
This is
He was
huge.
ABC's chief censor. His job was to catch what he considered objectionable content and stop it from going
This
to air.
guy?
And in 1975, censors at ABC,
ancient.
CBS, and NBC all got huge new powers to veto scripts. It was part of a national agreement between the networks to tamp down on controversial programming, something they called the family viewing hour. You can check out my video about the show Alice for that whole story. Danny had already fought with Schneider
The
over season
family
1 of Martin.
viewing hour.
One
Remember
episode
prime
had a line
time.
about a character who was a sex worker, and Schneider tried to make Danny remove it.
Yeah,
but Danny
8 to 9
refused to
family
budge.
hour.
Here's the actor
Yeah.
Hal Linden talking about what happened.
That's
Then he says, shoot it. Hangs up, turns to the network and says, I'm shooting it the way I wrote it. It's up to you if you put it on the air. But if you don't, I'm not going to make any more.
Now, there's another video that I watched, and they were really hammering home the fact that Barney Miller was on at 8:30. It was on at 8:30 for many, many years. Maybe the first 4 years or 5 years. Kind of wish Ocean Master was still. I don't even kind of wish. I wish Ocean Master.
Yeah, we miss Ocean Master.
But as an 8:30 show, they were part of the Family Hour. They were playing opposite the Waltons.
Oh my God!
And on NBC, they were showing Gemini Man. Speaking of which, and I can't remember the show that came on after that. Although no, I think Gemini Man was an hour long. But anyway, Barney Miller was constantly running afoul of this censor solely because the network wouldn't let them go on at 9 p.m., which is crazy because it's an adult show.
Yeah.
So kids like me who turned on ABC because I wanted to watch the high school kids on Welcome Back, Kotter. But also, I love Gabe Kaplan. I love comedians. I love comedians in their own sitcoms. So it really was like my kind of show. And then I was watching Barney Miller after. But yeah, they were in trouble because they were always put in the why are you guys violating the family hour? And Danny Arnold was like, why won't you let us go on after 9 p.m.? I'll even take a 9:30 slot. Why won't you do that for us? Apparently they were making decent enough money and they were holding on to enough viewers from Welcome Back, Kotter that they didn't want to move them. Kind of classic.
That was a huge gamble. Remember, ABC was so doubtful about this show that they only ordered 2 episodes at first. But Danny was confident that they were onto something great and that audiences would fall in love with the show if Schneider would just get out of the way.
But I knew that the success of the show would depend upon allowing the audience to get to know these characters.
Everyone else on the show gambled big on its success too. Well, Danny mortgaged his house to pay for the production. The whole cast and crew worked tirelessly to prove that Barney Miller would work, often staying on set late into the night to make sure every take came out just right.
It's 3:15 a.m. We're all hanging tough for the last slate of the season for Barney Miller.
ABC could easily have said, fine, you want to shoot it our way? We won't air it. And you're fired. But Danny's gamble paid off. ABC, which had already canceled a ton of shows that season and needed content for the schedule, backed down. Schneider was overruled, and the line about the sex workers stayed in. Barney Miller survived its first season, but just barely.
Wow.
Ending in 68th place. So going into
and that's
season
not
2,
a great number.
everybody knew they were in a very precarious position. Despite all their hard work, despite all the late nights, despite the very special cast they'd managed to assemble, all that work could now just get taken away. As production on season 2 started in the summer of 1975, Schneider had Barney Miller in his crosshairs and started ordering a ton of changes to the show. When shooting started, Schneider came down to monitor the set with his staff. According to Danny, who wrote about the visit later, when Schneider showed up, Danny told him, "You and your staff are making it very tough on me." Schneider replied, "Danny, I'm not going to take any shit from you." Yes, I recognize the irony of me censoring a quote from a network censor. By the way, this exchange was happening in front of the entire cast and crew, all of whom had been working tirelessly to keep the show from getting yanked from the schedule. And now, he was one of the most powerful people at the network, talking openly in front of them about how the show and their jobs could get wiped out.
Nobody does. I worked on a lot of shows with network censors there. They don't do
Schneider
that.
said no. Quote, "There's nothing that I have to say to you that I can't say in front of my staff or in front of anybody else." To which Danny replied, "Okay, then you can go f yourself. This is my staff and my show. If you want to talk to me like a gentleman, I'll talk to you. If not, go screw off."
Fuck with me, fellas!
And
This
that's
was
an
another
executive
huge
producer.
gamble. All Danny had was a brand new show with no established stars that was pretty low in the ratings. Schneider, on the other hand, had a huge amount of power, and his crackdown intensified in the weeks that followed. He ordered Danny to remove the words damn and hell from scripts, he forced him to write the sex worker character off the show, and he made it clear that there was no way he'd allow the gay storylines that Danny and New Dieter had worked on to air. Most of those changes Danny had to go along with. There was just too much at stake, and Schneider was too powerful to challenge. Danny knew he didn't have the clout to win most of those fights. But there was one issue that he was willing to stand up for, and that was fixing the depiction of the Marty character. He knew that they could do better, and he was determined to make it happen, despite Schneider's interference. ABC had already rejected the gay script that he wanted to shoot, but without the network's knowledge, Danny ordered the cast and crew to go ahead and tape the episode anyway. He paid for it out of pocket, about $100,000 of his own money, which, adjusted for inflation, would have been around $500,000.
Damn.
And then with the episode in the can, he sent it to ABC, sat back, and waited to see what would happen. If ABC rejected it, not only would he be out all that money, but there was a real possibility that he could lose his job and the show would be canceled.
Okay, I do want to stop it there just to kind of like mine your imaginations, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Is this Danny Arnold trying to prove that he was right about the character of Marty? Is it him trying to redeem himself? Like, oh, I didn't do the best job by creating this very stereotypical gay character, but I can do a better job. I mean, we don't know. We can't read his heart. We don't know exactly what was going through his mind at the time. But it's very interesting to me, especially since I'm assuming Danny Arnold was a straight guy. It's very interesting to me that he wanted to get it right.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I think he was that big a craftsman, man. I think he just wanted to, he was like, I'm going to do this right. I don't want, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous censorship to begin with.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell the story that I want to tell. Nobody's going to keep me from telling the story I want to tell.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, when you're doing a character-based comedy dramedy, it's based in Greenwich Village, and it's in the 70s. So gay rights are still so far down the road. Just acknowledging that gay people exist is a huge risk at this point. I feel like this is one of those fights that you don't walk away from. This is one of those fights you finish.
Yeah.
I agree with you both. As a writer, if I can throw that out.
Yeah, please.
There's definitely the integrity happening here.
Yeah.
Why else would the guy shell out $500,000 of his own bucks?
Right.
To make it happen. Yeah. He took in my opinion, a good character, wanted to make him better.
Yeah.
I personally, maybe I'm going by modern sensibilities. I didn't find the Marty character to be outlandishly flamboyant or stereotypical even early on, but he wanted to further flesh out the character.
Right.
I think it was definitely an achievement in non-politicizing a character and a theme.
Oh, isn't that interesting? That's a very good point. Yeah.
Thank you. I believe so. I mean, I think we see a lot of the opposite today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Not always to the best effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
I mean, just speaking as a, just speaking as a very traditionally straight guy, it's always felt to me like I have seen some incredibly religious and conservative friends of mine. And when they are intermixed with friends of mine who are of the queer community, I almost always see them coming together and jiving as people because we're just people.
Right.
And no one's doing anything wrong. It's not wrong. It's not a crime. It's just not what Grandma and Peepaw told us was going to happen in life.
Well, shall we trot out your favorite line from last week, John?
What's
it
that?
Takes a village, people.
People. And when the systems that we're in allow us to come together, we do. That's what we do. We're human beings. As different as we can be, we can still come together because we're all human beings. So anyway, preaching.
I remember being at a wedding back in the 80s, the late 80s, and somebody's aunt found out that it has to be in the it was the middle 90s. My bad. So it was middle 90s because I didn't really come out till the earlier 90s. And she found out that I was queer, and I was talking to her, and she said, "Tell me what it's like." Like, she literally did that. And I and I went, "It's just like your life. You meet someone, you fall in love, you get a mortgage. It couldn't be more boring." Right. It's exactly the same. And once a year, you have a party. I mean, that's it. That's, that's the thing, man. That's it.
Yes, because we're taught that queerness is a deviation of straightness.
Right.
As opposed to we're all parts of the same whole.
Right. It's like saying, like, you're left-handed. What's that like?
Adina says, I feel like the people who ask that are asking because they want to live that life.
Right. Or they think that somehow they think it might be better. It's the grass is always greener, but the grass is exactly as boring on both sides.
I have heard that more than I've heard anything. There's a meme going around for Pride, which is Bert and Ernie. Bert's sitting in his big chair. He's reading a book. Ernie is sitting in a smaller chair. He's got his feet up. He's eating popcorn, watching TV. And the caption is, what gay life is really like. and that's the sexual
Right.
kayfabe. Stevie, I think you found the title for your next book. I would definitely read Sexual Kayfabe.
I would read that book. I would read that book.
Okay, so let me see where we are. Matt, what are you? Well, we'll just pick it up from here because this.
But what Danny
this
didn't
story's
know
so
is
good.
what was going on behind the scenes at all three
follow
networks. In late
Oh,
September
he's
of
great.
1975, Schneider met with the censors from NBC and
Great
CBS
researcher,
to talk about how the family viewing hour was working out for all of them. And at that meeting, they privately admitted to each other that it was going terribly. None of the network censors had any idea what constituted offensive material. They confessed to each other that they were all just guessing about what to take out and what to leave in. Schneider,
The old "I know it when I see it" when it
Right.
comes to indecency and they don't know it.
his counterparts at NBC and CBS of not censoring enough. But they told him that he was censoring too much. They wanted to allow more controversial content back on the air, which would have put ABC at a competitive disadvantage. By the end of the meeting, he had started to change his mind, and he told them, quote, "Maybe I've been too tough." Schneider left the meeting, took a look at the gay episode that Danny Arnold had shot with his own money, and 2 days later, word came back. The episode could air as is. Because Danny is
Unbelievable.
Crazy.
He went from
Crazy.
100% against to looking at the business and realizing that if ABC is more anti-gay, anti-sex, anti-woman, whatever, that they will be falling behind and the other networks will make money where they're losing money. And that became the reason why he looked at that episode and said, you know what? Maybe this episode, which focuses on this gay couple, is a good episode. You should air it.
And
You
once
know what?
again,
Motivation
money
doesn't always have to be pure to generate good
Right.
results.
Exactly.
stuck to his principles. The gay episode survived, even while queer content was getting purged everywhere else on the schedule. Barney Miller was the only ABC show to air anything queer in the Family Hour block for the entire year. So here's what viewers saw. The episode's entitled Discovery, and it aired in October of 1975. Marty's back. This time, he's not alone.
This is enemy territory.
Don't be ridiculous. These are my friends.
Two big changes right off the bat. First, they added a new character, Daryl, Marty's partner. And second, unlike in season 1, they haven't been arrested. They're not criminals. They're here to report a crime.
They're citizens.
Daryl explains
They're
to
members
Barney
of the
that a few days
community.
earlier, a cop accosted him as he
Exactly.
was coming out of a gay bar.
What charge?
Being unique.
The cop, Daryl says, demanded a $50 bribe or he'd beat him up and arrest him for being gay. This was a scam referred to in some circles as a fruit hustle. Barney is aghast, and he immediately wants to find out who's responsible.
What do you look like?
He was ugly.
Tall ugly or short ugly?
When you're ugly, what's the difference?
Oh,
Barney has a hunch that it wasn't a cop at all, just a scammer dressed as one, even though it was fairly common for police to shake queer people down for money. But to make sure, he has Marty and Daryl look through photos of all the cops of the 12th precinct. And as we spend some more time with these two, I gotta say, they honestly make a very nice couple. And not just because of the wonderful tone-on-tone outfits. By the way, if you know where I can find this gorgeous sweater Daryl's wearing, please let me know.
It is a great sweater.
Another way that they're well matched is that they both get all the best jokes. Here's my favorite.
He was a few inches shorter than I am.
About 5'11"?
No, about 6'3". I was wearing my platforms.
No, wait, actually, I think this one's my favorite.
Oh, I hope it doesn't take too long. I have a lecture at noon.
Oh, you go to school?
No, I'm having lunch with my mother.
Solid joke.
But in addition to the good gags, the writers also used this opportunity to give us a deeper understanding of Marty and Daryl than we got in season 1. In this episode's B-plot, there's a man being held in a cell after threatening to jump off the Washington Arch. Marty goes over to console him.
Oh, I wasn't going to jump. I was just looking around.
I know. I've seen that view myself.
It's a really nice, sympathetic moment. A real display of kindness from Marty and some insight into what must have been an unhappy past.
Empathy.
The man asks Marty how he overcame his feelings of hopelessness, and Marty's answer is kind of poetic.
Well, I was standing on the railing of the Brooklyn Bridge, and this car came by, and they had the radio on, and Doris Day was singing Que Sera, Sera. And I thought, you know, she's right.
Okay, little explanation here for you kids. The song that we're talking about, Que Sera, Sera, is also known as What Will Be, and it's about wondering what the future holds for you and coming to terms with not knowing. The singer and actress Doris Day made the song famous in the 1956 film The Man Who Knew Too Much.
Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be.
And it's a song that I was well past college before I learned that it was not, in fact, originally written for the Chipmunks.
I love this joke.
Great version, though.
It is.
So that's why Que Sera Sera, a song sung by a
Well
gay
done,
icon
Matt.
about learning to embrace the future, might have brought Marty some peace of mind. It's pretty sweet. Anyway, while they're looking through the photos, a cop in plainclothes brings in a suspect. He says that he caught the guy trying to pull a fruit hustle scam, and Daryl instantly recognizes him.
I told you he was ugly.
You were being kind.
The cop who arrested the suspect is Sergeant Forbes, and he says that the suspect grabbed him as he was coming out of a gay bar.
I just walked out and he grabbed me.
Wojo can't believe what he's hearing.
Thought you were gay? A detective sergeant in the New York police force? Que sera, sera.
Once you see this episode, it's clear why Danny Arnold felt it was worth sticking his neck out and fighting for. It's a great story with a fantastic funny twist ending, and it really improves on the gay storylines of the first season. Not only did they make Marty no longer a criminal, but they gave him compassionate dialogue, a sympathetic backstory, and a relationship. Plus, he gets to be as fun and flamboyant as ever. The presence of Daryl is a big improvement too. There had been virtually no gay couples, recurring or otherwise, on TV before this. And then there's the reveal of Sergeant Forbes, a handsome hunk who bucks TV's usual gay trope stereotype, shows the audience that a gay cop isn't so ridiculous after all. This 1975 episode was met a lot more warmly than Marty's initial appearance, and the success of this episode led to storylines that deepened Marty and Daryl's relationship, and also added even more groundbreaking gay characters. By 1976, the networks had given up on the family viewing hour altogether. Not only was it impossible to implement, a court ruled that it was actually unconstitutional.
Unconstitutional!
With a lot less interference. And by the way, I'm going to be posting a video over on Patreon about how that ushered in groundbreaking new shows like Soap. Check that out at patreon.com/MattBaum. So now that he was freed from the worst of the censors' interference, Danny brought Marty and Daryl back the next season in a 1976.
Okay, so there are other episodes where they come back, but I'm going to cut it off there.
Can I say one thing, John?
Absolutely.
I have two friends of mine who are much older than I, and they both moved to San Francisco in the middle 70s. And they went to the Pride Parade, obviously, as one would do.
Yeah.
And hang on, get down. And one said to the other, "Well, we've really come so far," seeing the huge Pride Parade, their first Pride Parade that they saw.
Yeah.
And this is around 1975, 76, 77 in there.
Oh,
And he said, we've really come so far. Look at how big this has gotten and all of that. And the other one said, yeah, well, when I see the cops and the firemen, gay cops and gay firemen marching with all the rest of us, then it'll be something. Yeah. And he's all of a sudden in the early 80s, he said almost imperceptibly, he realized, oh my God, there they are. And there was like a contingent of gay police officers, not just like what happens now where it's like, oh, all the straight people from Apple come down and they have a contingent. Like this was like legit, like for real gay officers that marched in the Pride Parade and gay firemen. And, it's not that many seasons after this season that they had the storyline about Officer Zitelli, who's gay, and I think I want to say it's Carl Levitt that accidentally outs him, and he ends up having to quit, and or he gets transferred or something. I forget what happens to Zitelli, but it was a big arc. So, and that was still the 70s, I believe, or maybe 1980. So I mean, it's a pretty big deal. The fact that in this season, this early, that they had a good-looking gay cop, just kind of out himself in that moment.
Yeah, it's funny. I ran into that clip, and I wonder if it was. I think it was when I was watching this, right? If I can't find it, I can't find it. It's mostly about the couple. It's mostly about
They're
Marty.
so great, and the arc of the couple over the seasons is phenomenal.
Okay, here we
And it seems it's so Zitelli. There you go.
Yeah, this is exactly.
Yes, Scanlon. He gets accidentally, or maybe it's Wojo that does it. Accidentally,
Another cop finds out
outs
that
him
he's gay and starts making
to
press against him.
Scanlon.
We've got a video over on Patreon about that whole storyline. You can check that out at patreon.com/MattBaum. And one more side note here. It's probably for the best for everybody that Daryl and Eleanor's marriage broke up, because a few years later, Eleanor gets to marry an ambassador.
Yeah, you're right, Zitelli. And he can't. Oh, he comes out when she's talking. Actually,
or I thought it was like something like, I thought it was Levitt for some reason, but maybe it's Wojo where he goes, "What? I'm not gay. What? I'm not. What do you think? I'm not gay like Zitelli," or something like that. And then he accidentally gets outed in front of Scanlon.
Right, and that's That
I mean,
and it's interesting that they kept going with characters. We do, but you're not wrong. You're right about this. It's just
I'm close on that.
Yeah, I was so hung up on the Daryl and Marty story that I didn't really mark when the Zitelli story comes out.
That's all right.
But
that's for another. It's for another app.
Hey, there's pride comes every year.
There's a lot in the Barney Miller cinematic universe to cover. You can't get it all in one show, man.
It's so funny. I wish I'd said this when Ocean Master was here, but one of the funniest things that I discovered in this whole thing was doing research, running into what's called the Barney Miller universe. There is
a thing. I was joking. That's a real thing.
They call it the Barney Miller universe. They really do. And it is deep. And there are actors who play like a little character in like season 1 who come back and play a recurring character in season 4, completely different character. Star Trek used to do that all the time.
Right.
Hire somebody.
Oh yeah, they would have a stable of actors in Barney Miller. Kenneth Tiger was one of my favorites. He was always a different character every time. He was Mr. Kopechne, the werewolf. Then he came back later as something else. It was always something. God. There was always a weird twist to Kenneth Tiger's storylines.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan. Hello, Larry had it. Why not Barney Miller? Because don't forget, Hello, Larry and Different Strokes were connected.
No,
they shared characters.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, Philip Drummond was a college buddy of Larry's, and there was crossovers.
I love me a crossover.
Yeah, and I know that
I totally didn't remember that, and I watched all of Hello, Larry, just sadly. I mean, I had less to do as a kid.
Fred Silverman had been in charge of programming at ABC. He came up with some of the trashiest television, because when the Family Hour collapsed, that's when you started getting, granted at 9 p.m., but you would get Charlie's Angels, you would get Love Boat, Jiggle TV.
Yeah.
So Fred Silverman was just making crazy money at ABC. Three's Company was a big deal. All this, sexy TV. So he went over to NBC. And they were like, "Oh, we're going to be the big hit station now. We're going to be cranking out those hit shows." And I remember Johnny Carson doing a joke that said, "Well, apparently the show was at first called Hello, Larry, but now I think they're calling it Goodbye, Freddie." Which
a good one.
Brutal to say on the air, especially since Carson's not afraid that Fred Silverman's going to take Carson off the air.
Right? Yeah, no one's taking Carson off. Hey, someone needs to hip Adina to Jiggle TV. It's a term that the youngsters don't know.
Oh my goodness!
Well, we just gave you some of the best titles.
There you go.
You got to check out mid to late Love Boat, because they would run B units. They would run units. Although I guess this happened on Baywatch too, where it's just like the camera going across people's crotches and butts. But yes.
Three's Company was considered that because of Chrissy, right?
Oh, of course. And
absolutely.
Like I said, Charlie's Angels, and John points out the Love Boat. I mean, the last couple years on, especially. I mean, they had the Love Boat Mermaids, for goodness sake.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What about them?
Featuring the wonderful Terry Hatcher, as a matter of fact.
Oh my God. You guys got to cover the Love Boat sometime. You got to.
Let me write that.
That 1-2 punch.
Well, John,
of the
I mean,
Love
we
Boat
have
and
talked about
Fantasy
a.
Island.
I'm sorry, Dan. I need to step on you, but no, we did talk about a possible Retro Rangers After Dark spinoff, and I don't know. That Jiggle TV sounds like a good topic to me. I mean.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, we did Battle of the Network Stars. By the way, we've already booked Barry Korbman to come for our next episode of Battle of the Network Stars.
Oh my God, so good.
That's
must-see TV right there.
July 7th will be our episode Barry of the Network Stars Part 2.
Wait, Joe, maybe instead of Retro Rangers After Dark, what about a Retro Rangers OnlyFans?
I know, John Reagan naked.
Oh no, we'll show naked, but
yeah.
No, I'll share naked, but I won't be. I love it. I
could just watch normal porn. See, back in the early days, before the internet, you had to scour for your porn. It was tougher.
Yes.
You had Skinamax.
God. You had the Sears Roebuck catalog.
That's right.
Bathing suit section and bras. Though, occasionally I could look at a girdle. Yeah, it was really.
Did we mention National Geographic while I was laughing at Stevie's comment?
Oh, and John also brings up Wonder Woman, and yes,
hello.
Thank you. But because Adina's a bit younger than we are, I remember those Girls Gone Wild commercials.
That's right.
Those infomercials that would last like half an hour. You won't believe what these girls do.
And it's always the words over the boobs. Gone wild over each boob.
Right now, Cashew's going wild.
Cashew gone wild.
Cashew, you are so funny. Oh my God. Listen to her.
No joke, she'll slash me right across the face. It's brutal. It's happened. It's a very abusive relationship.
Let me tell you something. I remember we found kittens years ago, and we were trying to find homes for them. And I was trying so hard to get Diana J. Brodie to adopt one of my kittens. And no, but the thing is, I think your previous cat had passed away, and I can't remember how long it was. It was a few weeks, right?
Yeah, it was too soon. It was a little too soon.
But Cashew needed a home.
Cashew would have lived in a cage the rest of her life. She's unadoptable. She was going to get put down. She bit 2 workers. I've done. Listen, man, it's a whole other episode. I've done a lot of work to get to our relationship. There's a lot of Jackson Galaxy watching. It was.
Oh my God! Wow. Well, God bless you both, because
man,
it's hard.
May I say this about Retro Rangers? There are a lot of review and reaction shows on YouTube and elsewhere, but in how many of those you go from Barney Miller to Marty to Jiggle TV to Cash? That's a thumbs up for me, guys.
We are so deep into this. We're way past 2.5 hours. So honestly, let's do some of that. This is so not inaccurate. ADHD. Yeah, I don't know how to end the show. That's my problem. So
I'm so glad we had this.
Well, we need a little business. Got to do a little business here.
Of course, you got to have this.
Showtimesoul.com.
Showtimesoul.com, everybody.
Great music.
Oh, good.
Favorite line. He'll hit you. All right, Stevie, thank you. Please let us know what you think. And Adina, thank you.
And we are so happy that you're still with us. If you're still with us, thank you so much. Well, of course you are. I'm talking to you. And I meant to put this up a little more than once, and that would be check out our very own Diana J. Brodie has her own editing school. And how long you been an editor, Ms. Brodie?
Almost 30 years. I've been a professional editor. Yeah. I got something dropping on Disney Plus on Christmas Day. Man, you got to watch it.
Sweet.
Meet the Pickles.
Right.
You're going to want to watch it.
You cut Meet the Pickles?
You're going to want to watch the famous Meet the Pickles. You're not going to want to miss it.
Is it live action? It's live action, right?
It's a behind the scenes documentary on Pixar's first and only streaming series that's going to land in December, and mine will drop on Christmas Day, the behind the scenes with the last 2 episodes. So check that out. That's coming up in just a wee 6 months or so. But right now on at Next Level Editing Academy, we're all about teaching Avid Media Composer, but we're going to be teaching Premiere. We're going to be doing a mentorship program. We got a lot of stuff coming up for editors, man.
That's so great. That's so great. You're sharing your skills. You're sharing your experience.
Love it. I'm all about the love.
You have always been all about the love, and that's one of those things that has sustained our friendship, even though I disappear for 15 years at a time, but you're still nice to me.
Even though I try and get a show with you on the air, I tried, man. I still think it's a good idea.
It's so funny because WGN was doing a show so similar to what we had been talking about.
Really?
And it lasted like 3 episodes.
Oh, geez. Maybe it was not a good idea.
It's because it wasn't you two.
It was.
Yeah. If it was us, it would have been. I could already see it in my head. God damn it.
Well,
I don't even know what show you're talking about, but I know it would have been a tremendous success. Have been you two doing it.
Well, I'll let John bore you with that one day, but it would have been good. I loved it.
It would have been good.
Yeah.
You're great. Your friends in the business are great. You guys were giving me all kinds of great advice and support. And I had a really hard time, as you can tell. I had a really hard time putting together what a show would be and how I would ever, do anything. And honest to God, thank goodness we have Flobo Boyce as a friend, because he was doing this streaming stuff. And he would have me on, and occasionally I would guest at the same time as Joe. And then we were like, hey, this is fun, just doing stuff from your desk. People watch it nowadays. Yeah, it's good stuff.
And you guys are rocking it. You're rocking it. It's a
Diana.
freaking good show. That's why I'm in the comments section, folks. You'll find me DJBTV in the comments section. Keep an eye out.
Well, please keep coming, Dan. It was such a pleasure having you here tonight and meeting you for the first time, sort of face to face, visual to visual anyway.
Yeah.
And thank you so much. And
yeah,
it was a huge you brought so many wonderful people with you. Thank you.
Yes.
More next time. I'm going to start pimping y'all out even heavier, man, because I love the show. I think it's awesome.
We appreciate it so much.
Thank you for having me on.
Find another one of your TV fixations and let's book that show.
Mary Tyler Moore, MASH, the Bob Newhart Show.
I've been watching Mary Tyler Moore on Hulu lately.
Have you?
Oh, yes.
Watch it in order from episode 1 straight through. It's kind of mind blowing. Do you really? Yeah. May I recommend a book for you? Mary and Lou and Ted and Rhoda or something. I gotta look it up. Something like that. All the 4 names across. Fantastic. It turns out to be a primer on women writers in Hollywood because it was impossible for them to get hired. prior to Mary Tyler Moore, James L. Brooks made it a point to bring him on.
Oh, wow.
And you know what's great about doing a MTM special episode? We've already got the cat for the end.
If she's in the mood.
Oh, on cue.
Look at her. She's so cute. Oh, you know, as much as I do not want to end this, but here's one more thing.
I was going to say, I know we started our tonight's show like about 10 hours ago, so I would remember if we showed this show. But there it is.
We're back to 5 p.m. I will try to find ways of reminding people about that during the week. Back to 5 p.m. and we're going back to horror. We're bringing back our friend Mario El Tiburon from the Retro Wave streaming show and podcast. And we're gonna do one of these deals we do where we watch the trailers from the movies. And then we're going to watch an episode. Hopefully it clears.
Oh,
that we can watch. I think so. That we can watch an episode of Freddy's Nightmares.
Yes.
Just great TV. And you guys are going to love it. So by all means, I'm way behind on comments here.
Tony Luna, Chuckles the Clown. I read for my father's eulogy, I read Chuckles the Clown's eulogy verbatim as my father's eulogy. True story.
Oh, wonderful. And Tony, your favorite and many others, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Such a great episode. It was my father's favorite episode, and I told him that I was going to do it before he died. So.
Well, I'm gonna do a mock-up with that MTM logo that you already showed at the end. There's going to be a hole in it. I'm going to mail it to you, Diana. We're going to put cashew in there.
I'll stick cashew right in there for you, man.
Oh, my God.
Thank you, guys. This was a blast.
Oh,
MASH. Yes, MASH.
Yes, absolutely. Great. Okay, good. This is actually, thank you for letting us know about that, Stevie. Let's get back to, I'm sorry, the ADHD is so strong. Diana, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys. Diana. Y'all are great.
Let's do it again. Very soon.
You're embarrassing me in front of my friends.
And now Cashew, hey, she's a dangerous girl and we understand.
I better feed her for only the 18th time of the day.
I love you. Bye-bye.
Grab your popcorn, warm up your TV. Capt'n John and Cmdr Joe got something to see. We're all back in time to the golden past with the Retro Rangers. Oh, it's such a blast. We're flying high with the Retro Ranger. Give it a try and don't be a stranger. Ranger, strap yourself in for a fun-filled flight. Retro Rangers are flying tonight.